Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here, 1995 PGA Tour season deep dive. Don't need to do a big intro of all that. We're going to get right into that. Want to give a shout out, though, to our friends at Titleist. You've heard me talk a lot about it. I have gone out 24 times since I've taken the GTS 3, put it in the bag, played some form of 9 or 18 holes. Usually it's just 9 holes chasing daylight at the end of the day. I am gaining 0.9 shots per round against a +2 handicap with the GTS 3. That has been a dramatic turnaround. My driving has been a weakness over the last several years. As soon as I put this head on the shaft that I have, GTS 3, I use it in the D4 setting, 11 degree. My accuracy has gone up a ton. I'm getting more spin on the ball. I'm not hitting it like a crazy far distance. I'm just so much more accurate. It's actually let me take the driving iron out of the bag, put an extra wedge in the bag. My Arcos was also telling me that my short game was struggling a little bit. Put a 60 in, a 56 to help my gapping there. There's been a lot of improvements on that part of the bag as well. But man, I am honestly just having so much fun playing golf again because I'm in the middle of the fairway a lot more often. Play a course here quite often that has OB water all over the place, and I still pull driver, and I don't even fear it. I don't think about it anymore, which is just, man, golf is a lot more fun when you look at it that way. Go to Titleist.com, find a fitter near you, give the GTS a try. I'm telling you, it's awesome. My buddies that I play with frequently down here are commenting on how much better I'm driving it, and I can't shut up about it if you can't tell. It's a very, very real thing, and there's a reason why I've gotten out to the golf course 24 times here since mid-May, which might be a record for me in this phase of my life. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the podcast. Titleist.com to find a fitter near you. Episode 2 of our PGA Tour season deep dives, or PGA Tour simps. We are obligated to go through these year by year, spend hours talking about this. DJ, how are you? What are we doing today?
Hey, I'm great, man. We are going to be diving into the 1995 PGA Tour season, a season I know very, very little about. Obviously, a lot of these, you know who won the majors. That's kind of about it. You know, the rest of pro golf, it's pre-Tiger. There's a lot of sands shifting. It's kind of a blank space for me. So I'm looking forward to filling it in. I've done no research on this. I'm here, audience. I am your proxy. I'm your avatar. I'm going to try to ask the questions that you're sitting there asking. You know, Soly just made me smash a protein bar before I got on this. I don't know if it's enough. I'm reeling right now, but I'm excited to get going.
I'm going to be covering the first 6 months of the year, and the back 6 months of the year is going to be covered by Mr. Neil Schuster. Hello, Neil.
Gentlemen, poking my head out of the wormhole, the deep, dark wormhole that I've crawled down the last 3 days.
Wormhole or rabbit hole? Because wormholes are like how you time travel. A lot of people mess this up.
Well, it kind of felt like time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So I'm going to say wormhole. All right. We will go through the mines. Yeah. Turn it up, Deej. I got some action for you.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Deej. You led this with, everybody knows who won the majors. Who won the majors in 95 without looking? Can you rattle that off?
Ben Crenshaw won the Masters. The U.S. Open was Leroy Jansen. Is that right?
It was not. No.
95. Where was it?
Well, we can't. If that would give it away, I mean,
that would give it to you.
A lot of references to it very recently.
Shot of his life.
Oh, wait. Oh, Corey Pavin?
Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay. I thought that was 94. No, that was Ernie Els. Okay. Corey Pavin, of course. PGA. Yeah, I don't know the PGA. And then the Open was John Daly.
Correct.
Who won the PGA?
Elk.
Oh, right. Riviera.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows
that. Yeah. Not a man alive can clip me on the back nine after eating a custard like that.
So some backstory here. Again, we're going to dive into 1995. I always wanted to do these deep dives on just like a year in golf, and we're kind of focusing on PGA Tour or men's professional golf. And back in the day when we started this, I threw a dart at the wall, landed on 95, when we started this. Started doing the research for that one, quickly figured out that like 1994 would make more sense as a starting point. And if you want, and I would recommend this, episode 1117, that is the 1994 deep dive, because as soon as we started researching 95, you're picking up some major storylines mid-story, which we're going to continue today, but it was helpful to go back and get to 94. 94, Fincham steps into the PGA Tour job. Greg Norman's trying to start his World Tour. The FTC is sniffing around the PGA Tour's restrictive release clauses. Things are just happening, all right? They actually relate kind of a ton. I would say that a lot of things mirror what's happened in men's golf the last 5 years as well, which was what makes this conversation made it quite fun to dive into 94.
Everything we've done, Neil, and everything we will do.
Time is a flat circle. I will say though,
over and over
not to
again.
spoil anything, but things get wrapped up a lot quicker.
Oh my
in
God.
95.
Fincham.
So we're gonna get into that. Another theme that I'd say 94 was international takeover. I think at least 6 of the top 10, like the top 6 guys in the world, were internationals, which kind of was some of the reason Norman was able to get a little momentum on the world tour idea. U.S. golf was just kind of in a transition phase, and then that starts to flip over pretty quick in 95. You start to, see some names like Furyk. Some guys start to show dude tendencies towards the end of the year. Others, yeah.
So I would say I don't think you have to stop this right now and go back and listen to 1994. You can do them out of order, but if you're looking to pass the time, I see no reason why you wouldn't start with that episode and then do this one. But you can also just pick things up because we're going to get things running full stride here. You know what? 95.
I'm not going to produce this episode, but I'm going to say let's drop the link to the what episode was it?
It's in the description. 1117. It's in the description. Hopefully here.
Link in bio, Deej.
That's right.
So,
don't cost nothing. Throw that link in there.
Hopefully you guys know where I was going to start this episode, same way I started the last one. Going into 1995, how many can you get? Who are the top 10 players in the world going into 1995?
Should I let DJ answer this?
Let him get going a little bit.
I'll try to help fill it in because I probably get 5 of the 10.
These are in no particular order. Greg Norman.
Number 2.
Tom Kite.
Not on the list.
No. Oof, tough start. Steve Elkington.
Not on the list.
Oh.
God, I'm so bad. I don't know. Corey Pavin. I'm just going down the
Corey Pavin's number 10. Number 10. But you're, again, beginning in 95. Yeah. You got to think about what just happened 94. In 94. Like, who dominates? Nick Price is number 1 player in the world. Yeah.
Ernie Els.
Ernie Els is number 7.
I don't know. Neil, help me out.
Faldo.
Faldo's number 3. Yeah.
Bernard Longer still?
Bernard Longer's number 4. That's right. You got the top 4. Best American at this time.
Davis Love?
Not Davis Love. That's a good guess, but not Davis Love.
Tom Lehman? Marco Mira?
Fred Couples is number 6. And then
who's a habitual? He was struggling at this point.
Habitual manipulator, one of the most infamous WGR manipulators, the original manipulator.
I mean, it's not Jumbo Ozaki.
It is Jumbo Ozaki.
Like, there's no way it can still be him, is it?
It's still him. And then one more European, Scottish, big Order of Merit guy.
Monty, of
course. That's it. That's the top 10 in the world. Price.
All right, listen, I let you down. Those of you who are driving where I'm supposed to be your proxy, maybe you did better than me. But this is hard, It's hard when somebody turns the lights on you. How many did you guys get?
So hard.
Look inward. I'm curious how many you got as you're driving your car to work there.
Themes, a couple themes here. John Daly, still everywhere. The Needle. I mean, just a bunch of stories about his return to golf after some time off in 1994. Again, history repeating itself. World tours, greed, legal troubles for the PGA Tour. Is the Players a major? That was a conversation in 1995.
Hope they get that wrapped up.
New PGA Tour leadership, structure changes as it comes to exemptions and the overall number of cards on the PGA Tour. TV contract is coming up. Negotiations are set to begin at the end of next season. A ton of parallels to 2026, if I may say so. But
Soly, can I also just a couple stats? So like just a growth, like kind of good overall growth and progress check before the Tiger boom and as Fincham's taking the helm. So in 1984. Under, kind of in the prime or early part of Dean Beeman's leadership, 72 sanctioned PGA Tour events. So they didn't count the silly season back there. Some of the fall events didn't have like world ranking and count towards like money list stuff. 72 and 94, there's 100 at the end of 94, 125 events. So that's Champions Tour. That's, they started to expand out Nike Tour. So more playing opportunities, which is a mandate of the organization. Purse money for the PGA Tour. In 84, it was 26.5 million. That would be 85 million adjusted inflation in today's money. 94 is 107.3 million, which is about 235 million inflation adjusted. And then total annual charitable contributions, which is going to be important as we get into some of this stuff. In 84, 9.4 million, so 30 million inflation adjusted. And then in 94, 31.7 million, so $71.4 million raised for charity at the inflation adjusted number. So big
That's
takeaway.
for all the tours. That's for
all the tours.
all the
But
tours.
just to show you that business is booming. It's getting bigger, and this is pre-Tiger. So that's some people are starting to take note of, hey, yeah, maybe a little bit, maybe I need a little extra, huh? I'm carrying this tour, maybe some sharks circling, if you will. Maybe the government like, hey, wait a second. We're giving these guys some breaks. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. So anyway, back to you, Soly.
Well, to your point, 62.9 million is the actual purse total on the PGA Tour for 1994, and we are going to more than double that in the next 4 years. That's what's coming around the corner. But if you remember back to 94,
more things change, man.
again, like Tiger helps a ton with that. But there is a massive just sports labor theme going on as well. We are in a strike right now. The PGA Tour. There's the NHL is playing a lockout shortened season at this moment. As well. They do not have baseball figured out by the beginning of the 1995 year. Replacement players are potentially coming, and just there's all kinds of legal shit going on with that. Hearings, blah, blah, blah with baseball labor. So like the attention on the labor aspect as it comes to golf kind of stems out of that, of like the big American sports leagues need to get this kind of figured out. And it does. We have cable sports is about to take over. That was a big thing for Fincham as he kind of sees around the corner of what's about to happen with cable sports. The Golf Channel begins in early 1995. There in January. It's not in many homes early. We'll get there, but we're about to enter, again, a new TV deal. Corporate America sponsorship of American sports and just 24/7 sports is about to boom. And I would have to say the PGA Tour had the right guy for the job to put them in a position to succeed and capture that boom, because Fincham came in last year. If you remember, we talked about that on 94 pod. He's like, I'm promising purses are going up. The money is going up. We're going up here.
Mark my words.
Which is important, and he delivers.
Also, no new taxes.
Delivers on a lot of this stuff, which like really, really, really helps him when Greg tries to pull people away. Like, people do not want to give up their PGA Tour status. Like, there's no reason to jump off this boat. And man, I walked away from all of this with an even bigger appreciation for Fincham and how he handled all this. So
a couple things. One, I gotta quell the amount of times that I'm like, wow, that sounds just like 2026, because I know that's going to keep popping up. But it's, you talked about all those increases without necessarily even mentioning where we've gotten to today. And it's like, what did you say? It was 20 some million for the season, or adjusted to 60 something. It's like they're playing $20 million events 12 times a year, 15 times a year at this point. I mean, it's insane. And the other thing I would say, just if you don't know anything about the PGA Tour and the structure and how the players are organized and or not organized, in that regard, I think it's just worth counting out or calling out that there's no player union either, right? I mean, the PGA Tour is set up very different than the NHL, than Major League Baseball, where there's owners and there's players. At the PGA Tour, there's just players. The players don't go on strike because they'd be striking against themselves, and so that's why I just context for why you see like, well, maybe we should just start a whole other league rather than like, fuck it, we're not going out there. Well, I'm not playing until we fix this, is like not really how it works.
And just the idea that anybody that ever said in the last 5 years we need a union, and PGA Tour players have said that, one of the dumbest possible things you could say. Like,
fundamental misunderstanding of the situation, and
a fundamental misunderstanding. Honestly, if I may, like, there are tons of beefs and qualms we will have with the PGA Tour and have had with the PGA Tour in the past. They do not do things perfectly, but as a professional golfer and a player in this, the idea that you could do it better than they do it is a complete fallacy. It is the best use of gobbling up all the possible market value you can out of a sport that's not the most exciting thing in the world, and sharing that with the players. Like, it does not go to anybody else other than employees of the tour, charities, and to the people that go out on the course and earn it. Like that, it's an incredible distribution model for that.
Which, if I may, again, flash forward to 2021, call it. Also easy to see how the hubris builds up, right?
Yes.
Of a lot of like, what do you mean do it better? What do you mean iterate? What do you mean change the do you have any fucking idea how good we are at this? Like, I certainly, I felt a lot of that when I worked there. There is a lot of like, yo, we're so dialed. Look at our balance sheet. Look at our retirement plan. Look at our pension. This is the best pension.
Yeah, but what about the NFTs, Deej?
Yeah, that came after I worked there. But there's a lot of it's easy to, it's not excusable for the hubris building up, but I do understand how and why it did, and I think, again, it's just kind of table setting for what happens in this time period and then what happens again 20 years later.
Yeah. Neil, I'm curious what you think of this. I remember a takeaway from 94 was just like, hey, every time I encountered a newspaper, like the senior tour was sometimes more prevalent as the PGA Tour certain weeks. Felt a little less so in 95. I didn't feel like the senior tour was making, and a lot of my research is just kind of going through old newspapers and things like that, trying to get a vibe for how things stand, but just felt like less of a upfront thing in 95 than it did in 94. I'm curious if you had felt any of that in your research.
I would agree with that. I tried to, in service of my time and my like sanity, I tried to focus, Deej, how we did it with the Project Annual Pod. Like, I got to pick some 1 or 2 tent poles per month instead of like, all right, I'm going to go, if I start searching like what happened in Palm Springs in August, I'm like, oh God, I don't know. But
the czar is only one man.
But I think it's important with those stats I pulled up. The Champions Tour was still new, and it was a big expansion of revenue. These Nike tours and these Champions Tours were like, I think still they weren't like tired entities, if that makes sense. Like they feel like now the Champions Tour feels a little tired and dated and an afterthought. But and I think the fact that a lot of the top golfers were international and not so much American made those older big names were still driving a lot of attention in the mid 90s.
Yeah, and just the golf world is still clinging on to the, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, Arnold Palmer era, and there's not pre-Tiger, there's not that one dude that soaks up and takes a lot of that energy. But Jim Colbert did make $1.44 million on the senior tour in 1995, which is just $210,000 less than Greg Norman did as the eventual money winner in 1995 on the PGA Tour.
What a stat.
Wild.
That's good stuff.
We have the return of Michael Jordan also coming in March, which creates a little bit of an issue for the PGA Tour around one of their big events, which is interesting. But a couple quick highlights. We did this last time as well from the 1995 media guide. These are some rules officials. Do you recognize anyone in these pictures? Of course, there's some names there, but bottom right corner is Slugger White.
Live Golf's Slugger White. In the bottom right,
Mark Russell is also there on that bottom line, but some very interesting just moment in time there. Again, not going to do all these again, but here's Brandel Chambly in the media guide. Chris DeMarco, just a picture I've never seen of Chris DeMarco in 1995. He's got
Neil, are you ever wearing the turtlenecks underneath the golf shirt? I feel like that's a very mid-90s thing that
might
needs
employ
to come
that
back.
as we get into the fall for Mock Neck Monday.
Yeah.
I think we can start to experiment. Didn't realize he was Huntington, New York, DeMarco, Long Island man. And then went down to University of Florida. Good stuff.
David Feherty is now a full-time member of the PGA Tour. Jim Furyk had a good rookie year the year prior. Bill Glasson, our hitter, he's back. Still same photo as last year, but
so much like Gary Busey.
It's Gary Busey, Charlie Hoffman cross is what you guys described it last time as. Roger Maltby, still a PGA Tour winner at this time, using all of the life of that 1985 NEC World Series of Golf victory, which did have a 10-year exemption in it. David Duval is a new member and a rookie of the PGA Tour listed in there as well. So 44 events we're getting ready to play. Oh, also of note, Sam Snead no longer listed as a full-time PGA Tour member. If you remember, he was in it basically from winning like the 1942 U.S. Open or something like that. He is not listed as a PGA Tour member anymore. I know you're thinking, did he die? No, he did not. He died in 2002. I see exactly what you're thinking there, DJ.
End of an era, either way. End of an era.
Somebody had to make a tough phone
Tough call. Yeah, you're no longer exempt on the PGA Tour.
Sam, this is the hardest call I've ever had to make, man.
What? Who's on the phone?
Netflix was there for all of it too, and he got to be Ryder Cup captain.
Who's this? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Still should have picked himself, I think. But that's another story for another day.
We're going to play 44 events on the PGA Tour this year. Did you ask about this last time about what did golf on TV look like in 1995? And I have a confession to make on this because, as Neil noted, you can go down a lot of different rabbit holes. You can spend a lot of time doing a lot of things. One thing I did bypass discovering and going TV guide week by week in detail on was this distribution. I am relying on some AI help here to help me sort this out. I spot checked a few of these and it looks right. All the details here might not be exactly right, but here's what it looks like overall. CBS has 17 events. NBC has 7. ABC has 7. ESPN has 6. And Golf Channel has 6 events. So CBS gets a lot of recognizable ones and a ton going from spring through summer. Pebble, Nissan, Doral, MCI Heritage, the Greensboro Open, Bell South Classic, Buick, Colonial, Kemper, Hartford, St. Jude, Western, Buick Open, Sprint International, and World Series of Golf. NBC's got the Buick Invitational Torrey Pines. They got the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. They got the Honda Classic, Bay Hill, Players, and Neil's favorite Freeport McMoran Classic, which is in New Orleans. So they also have the U.S. Open for the first time here in 1995, taking that over for ABC. ESPN has the early round coverage of that.
That's a landmark change on the U.S. Open. I mean, that ushers in one of the great eras of golf on TV, I would say. The U.S. Open on NBC.
ABC has the Mercedes, has Houston, Byron Nelson, Memorial, Milwaukee, Tour Championship, and the British Open. A weird kind of collection here, which I think things are going to get sorted out here in the new TV deal here shortly. But ESPN has the Northern Telecom, Phoenix Open, Anheuser-Busch, Canadian Open, Buick Challenge, the Las Vegas Invitational. Golf Channel is getting scraps in their first year. Deposit Guarantee Golf Classic, New England Classic, BC Open, Quad City Classic, Disney Golf Classic, and the Texas Open.
These are all falling in my part of the calendar, baby.
Caffeine TV.
Also, TBS had the Hawaiian Open and also early round coverage of the PGA. So,
speculating here, but I wonder how much of this is. I just wonder why, right? Why is all of this spread out so much? Is this TV not quite, or big network TV, big sports properties just not quite willing to fully optimize into live sports is the thing, not willing to take big enough swings, trying to, you know what I mean? It's got to be these people trying to diversify a little bit. And it's interesting to see.
I mean, sitcoms are money, cash cows in this time. I think some of it's just the high cost probably of a CBS, like, man, I'll do X amount, but I can't take the whole calendar. I don't think it was any easier to broadcast golf in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then they also had this other programming that was a lot more lucrative than it is now.
Which it's just got to be, it's got to be fascinating and I guess I don't know how much talent crossover there is. I don't know how many guys were doing stuff for Golf Channel and ABC or, whatever, but it's gotta be so hard to get, I feel like you get a critical mass going. I feel like you get your feet under you when you're only doing a fourth of the events or whatever is just a big challenge.
And it's also worth noting, this is, there's a ton of hour expansion going on in this time. Like Finch, that's a huge thing too in Fincham's entire thing. I think they went in 15 years. They've gone, this was before 94. They'd gone from 110 hours on TV to 617 in 94, which is a massive expansion in there. So it's probably just kind of bolted on, right? As they're expanding hours year by year, it just gets a little bit more bolted on. And there's just a ton of also moving parts of like other sports, like the thing with, we're going to get into the players potentially moving, beginning that conversation in 1995. But the issue with that, it's an NBC product. NBC had NBA. NBA is in the playoffs in May, and that was just a massive hindrance to all of that. So,
as a Chicago sports fan in 1995, I'm glad NBC got those right. That was dialed. We needed them there. We didn't need them at the players.
95 wasn't the best for Chicago. That's Jordan does return, but they don't. They didn't win that one. I know you're not allowed to mention the years that Jordan didn't win the title. I know that's not allowed.
That's true.
And it's better to have lost early in the playoffs than to have lost in the finals, as we learned.
Save those legs.
Little other world stuff. O.J. Simpson trial is beginning in the beginning of January. Alanis Morissette released Jagged Little Pill. The Macarena is beginning its international spread. Pogs are taking over, and the internet is beginning to enter ordinary everyday life.
Pogs getting a good slammer. God, I was living in Canada at this time. Pogs were hot in the streets outside Toronto.
Playing for keeps?
Traded. Yeah, playing for keeps, baby.
Oof.
I don't know, man. I don't know if this was the peak, but you can make the case. I don't know that the internet is getting started. Is like, oh fuck, maybe we should have just.
This was it.
We should have just paused right there. That could have been. I don't know. There's a lot I'm liking there.
I don't know how our jobs would have careers would have worked out if that was the case, Deej. But
been professional Pog players.
Yeah,
that's true.
Pog collection.
All right, we're going first tournament of the year. Do you know where we're going and what it's called? Do you remember?
It's Mercedes.
Do you remember where?
Is it at La Costa or something?
You got it. You didn't get it last time, but you got it.
Is it still the dual event with the Champions Tour?
It's a great question, Neil. The Senior Tour, of course, that was the story last year. Was they didn't like being treated like second-class citizens, so the Senior Tour wanted their own event to start the year. They're going to start the following week in Puerto Rico. And that is going to kick off the Senior Tour season. If you remember, prior to this event was a dual event where they played the same tees. Their groups were intertwined on the tee sheet as well. They almost, in 1994, had a Senior Tour beat to win the overall event, which was causing a lot of beef between, just some controversy. It was sick.
Yeah.
I kind of miss it. Was definitely missing a little bit of drama in this, but John Houston had a 4-shot lead disappear in a brutal 3-hole stretch on the front 9. Steve Elkington ended up winning it in a playoff over Bruce Litsky. Houston hit one in a creek, made a double, bogeyed the next, then putted into the water on 7. It was an uphill putt that he putted into the water, which is also sick.
His caddy's telling him, "Hey man, you can give this one a little extra juice, man. It's up. All right, get it to the hole."
Especially tough as earlier in the day, it looked like it was going to get called for weather. Like Houston's just like waiting for it to get called for whether he would have won, but they slopped it together and went out and did it, and he ended up gagging it away. Elk said everyone in the locker room was like, "No way we're going to play today." And sure enough, Elk comes back and goes in. They moved tees around, and the grounds crew worked overnight to get it ready. Our friend Craig Stadler got a 2-shot penalty for showing up late for his tee time. He finished 2 shots behind Steve Elkington. That was a tough break. Elkington hit a wire on the second hole and got to replay the shot. The same thing happened to him at La Costa 92 when he won. Of course, he was playing 7,000 yards and was completely soaked in 1995. So, Lee Trevino traveled for the PGA Tour awards dinner in Carlsbad that week to accept his Senior Tour Player of the Year award. He had recently ruptured a disc in his neck, had it repaired. He went to a bone donor bank and secured part of a kneecap to repair the ruptured disc in his neck. I didn't know any of those things were a thing. So,
God, too many questions. Keep moving. Can't pick just one.
Silly season events, same as last year, are causing some issues for Tim Fincham now, who's he was not the commissioner the year before, but he says the PGA Tour has to reevaluate some of the competitions in the fourth quarter. Scheduling is getting a little crowded. Basically, no one knows what to do with the competition of the PGA Tour season and the sometimes bigger money guys can get in November and December. Like, how can Fincham deny players the opportunity to go make money and argue that it hurts, the other players? But again, on the flip side, guys are skipping more events in the early part of the year because of how busy their November and December are, and it's hurting the TV package, which is up for negotiation after next year. So Fincham's got to do a little bit of threatening to deny some television releases at a tricky time of doing that as well. So and you can kind of sense it in the fields and the news stories of the early part of the year and kind of where some other guys are popping up in different places around the world. They're not playing the PGA Tour in the early part of the year, and they're gobbling up appearance fees in other places. And it's not a ton of momentum in the early part of the year for the tour.
Are there any YouTube channels popping up at this time? Anybody trying to put content on their channel?
I haven't seen that. That might be in part 2. That might be in Neil's section.
You just said the internet was getting going.
No, but Deej, they were trading tapes at this time. So guys out there with camcorders, like at the concerts, okay, here's all 18 from
here's Litsky at La Costa, man. He goes nuts.
Here's Bart Bryant's all 18. It's a deep cut. Filmed outside the ropes, uncut. Bart Bryant goes low,
mic'd up
at the Ideon Classic at Pleasant Valley. Got that Pleasant Valley tape from 95, man. Forget it, man.
Did you find any YouTube? I couldn't find jack shit on YouTube from 1995 PGA Tour events.
The best one is the PGA Elks.
Yeah, the PGA, that's on there.
Talking through his round at the PGA is the best one I found.
So we're picking back up again at the end of 94. Norman tries to roll out the World Tour at a meeting at Sherwood in November. Fincham front runs him, warns people that, they're not going to be able to do it. Arnold Palmer shoots it down. Fincham basically says out loud, I'm highly paraphrasing, you can't do both these things, blah, blah, blah. A reminder what the World Tour is. It's 8 events. It's guaranteed money, top 30 in the rankings, plus 10 sponsor exemptions. $600,000 would go to the winner of each event and $1 million to the overall winner of the series. It was Norman with a gentleman by the name of John Montgomery Jr. and David Hill. David Hill is representing Fox Sports, which had just launched months earlier. This is all backed by Rupert Murdoch, excuse me. There's going to be 4 events held in the U.S., 1 in Canada, 1 in Scotland, 1 in Spain, and 1 in Japan. And a tentative schedule reportedly include WGT tournaments before each major, kicking off like the March 30th through April 2nd week. So basically running up against PGA Tour events right before majors. It does not get off the ground well. He gets absolutely eviscerated in the press. And of course, this would destroy the PGA Tour. It's everything. It's against everything the PGA Tour is about. Norman, the big mistake he makes is does not get the support of the players prior to making it public, which absolutely kills him. He accuses the PGA Tour of releasing its propaganda machine against him, getting all the media and the sports writers to say bad things about him, and doing it. And it's a mess right from the jump.
His time, a couple of things to add. Now, when I get to the back half of the year, we can dive back in, but important to understand the context of, like, we talked about the other sports. So a lot of the articles that I read, it's like, every other sport sucks, strikes, lockouts, like golf's the last bastion of this. And here's this egotistical, greedy, international pro golfer trying to mess up, the tradition, so it's a little on the nose with like good versus evil, but yeah, he doesn't build consensus is basically how he just didn't give his, compadres any info, and it's just a half-baked plan. So he probably, honestly, the more I read about it and look at it, it's like probably could have gotten a lot closer to getting it done if he just wasn't like such a megalomaniac.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing here is, and again, it's the entire concept of the PGA Tour is like, hey, we need you to follow our rules and regulations if you're going to be a part of this tour. But like, hey, us that work here are going to go out and we're going to market your guys' collective rights to a bunch of sponsors. We're going to organize it. We're going to find the venues for you. We're going to put up the tournaments. We're going to find the money. We need you guys to just agree to our rules and that you're going to play on this tour. You're going to play 15 events and you're going to do this so I can sell that to TV, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's professional golf. That's what that is. To go outside of that is never going to go over well. Like, of course, you have to go through the PGA Tour on this, and we all know where this leads to. WGC's here in a few years, and it's not a clean path to getting there. And the Norman Fincham riff, even expands from here, but there was just no way of getting this off the ground against the same chicken and egg problem Andy Gardner of the PGL talked about of like, we want to work with the PGA Tour. We are proposing something drastically different here, but we have to work with you, or else you need everybody to jump all at once. And that's a really, 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 really hard thing to recruit people for, as Norman found out and did not handle it well. They slipped contracts under the door to people at an event in Jamaica.
At the Johnny Walker Classic.
Just like, hey, sign these. And Faldo's like, no, what the fuck?
And I mentioned that the timing was both bad and it was actually impeccable because in the late fall of 94, Fincham's taken over the job, and a 4-year FTC investigation into 2 specific rules of the tour. Antitrust investigation was the first rule is forbids golfers to play in a non-PGA event without commissioner's permission, which is still the case. Even if they want to come play Wild World of Golf, they got to get a release with George Truly here. And the second gives similar veto power over appearances on televised golf programs. But, the Skins game falls in this category, the match, case by case, the tour relaxes this. But if you're going to make a hostile league, this is where Fincham then lays the gauntlet down and says very directly, if you play in this World Golf Tour, you are suspended. So that he lays that down in late 94. And the player, so it becomes a bit of a showdown. And then that's all the Norman stuff. And then separate from that, he goes to work on the FTC situation because that's separate. We'll but the timing of Norman's thing kind of makes this an existential threat. And it's the combination of both that I think it's important to realize.
One of the things that hits me as you guys are talking about this, and I'll say up front that probably the PGA Tour is restructuring and the way that they're doing equity now to the players and changing their structure of how the business is set up. Maybe this doesn't happen again, but if it does, I'm just thinking hearing everything I've heard about 94, you mentioned Arnold Palmer. I've heard Peter Jacobsen talk about that meeting. Arnold Palmer came in, and once he said that we weren't doing this, his voice carried the day, yada, yada, yada. I think you could say a lot of the same about Tiger in the live stuff. I think a lot of if Tiger thinks this is lame, I don't want to be lame. I should try to win the tournaments that exist. I'm not jumping. I need to stick around. If this came up again in 30 years, who's that person? Because I don't know if there's gonna be another one. Is it Rory? I feel like Rory took just barrel fire in all of this. Is it Scotty Scheffler? Is Scotty Scheffler interested in doing I just think it's an interesting those icons of the game. I don't know. There can always be another one, but it's I don't know that they're churning those out the way that they used to. And I just find that part of this very interesting.
And then I want to double click for a second on the players meeting, closed door with Paul. Palmer got up there and eviscerated Norman. From everything I've read. And then Norman, comes back in a article from 2019 in Sports Illustrated, talks about how it was a conspiracy because Arnold Palmer and IMG and Norman had broken up 2 or 3 years ago. And so Palmer was totally corrupt. And it's just it's a who do you trust situation. But yes, Palmer in that room, it sounds like.
Can I answer that question, by the way? Who do you trust?
Paul.
Because it's not Norman.
Yeah, but it's just funny. You get these quotes from Norman. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So anyway, Soly, keep going. I don't want to get too bogged down here because we'll get back to it.
And I forget what. To your point, you mentioned, hey, there's the Skins game, and there's guys are getting their beaks wet in the fall and things like that. But a big part of this, and it's a big part with the match, and a big part of why Phil Mickelson got pissed off was for their $10 million match, Tiger and Phil had to chip off the PGA Tour $1 million out of that. And that's the whole thing with these Skins game is you guys got to chip off the PGA. We're a collective rights group. How do you want me to sell this to the rest of the membership? You guys are getting your money over here, but I'm not in charge of getting a small amount of you guys' money. I'm in charge of getting everybody money. So something's got to come into our coffers. It's going to help top up some of these other purses if you want to play outside the rights of this group. That's kind of the whole thing that Norman and Phil just are unable to wrap their heads around because of, to use some of Phil's words, obnoxious greed. That's the root of the problem in a lot of this stuff. So to your point, in this week, opening week, again, we're hitting everything right from the jump. The FTC on Friday said it will seek a complaint officially. So this is rumbling in 94, but officially in 95 to kick off the year. The Federal Trade Commission, which has been investigating the PGA Tour for possible restraint of trade practices, has decided to seek a complaint against the golf organization. The PGA's conflicting event and TV release rules prohibit a member from participating in any other golf event on a date when a PGA Tour co-sponsored event is scheduled. Under PGA rules, in exchange for TV coverage of most tour events, members agree not to appear on other live or recorded golf programs unless approved by the commissioner. PGA Commissioner Tim Fincham has estimated that the legal matter could take as much as 5 years to resolve. And he says, it's our position that our rules are expansive rather than restrictive, who cites an increase of TV televised hours from 118 in 1979 to 1,000 in 94. He said that could not occur if we were restricting output. So this is like this is Fincham just being a total boss and making a very convincing case of like, this is not a restrictive tour. Like, look at how much money we're paying these players. One, we're making a ton of money for charity as well. We're putting them on television, blah, blah, blah. That we are not doing, this is not like a restriction of output. And the article says Fincham was not merely a sports administrator. He had worked in the Carter White House, served as a national staff director of the Carter Mondale campaign, and founded a Washington consulting firm. The FTC fight was almost perfectly suited to his background.
Drain the swamp.
Just fucking bring it. So of note, like on the convicting events releases, like Jack Nicklaus Productions had reason to, and this is written as well, had reason to resent the television release system because it produced independent made-for-TV golf. Company president Terry Jastrow described the tour's regulations as stringent, sometimes arbitrary, and difficult for businesses operating in a free enterprise environment. Yet he also accepted that some centralized order was necessary and that universal restrictions at least produced a predictable marketplace. Nicklaus voluntarily spoke with FTC attorneys, but publicly supported the tour. And this is where like the important nuance of the entire situation is like opposition to the rules did not necessarily mean there was support for dismantling the tour, as many golf businesses resented Fincham's veto power while also fearing the chaos that might follow if nobody possessed it. So, and he uses this a lot.
Well
we're not tennis. We're not going to tennis. Like tennis is at this time is super disorganized and kind of going down this route. Like we are not going down that way, and like dismantling all of that would mean less money for everyone. Both saying that to tour members as well as government officials of like, tear this down. You are hurting the economy and the American, like not ownership of golf, but like the trend going in American golf where the best players in the world are playing here more often. So.
It's very, very well said. It's a compelling case.
Yeah. And he opens the year again, talking more world tour. Basically it's it's up against our official money season. It involves a small number of players. It's a great deal of prize money. The big quote, and it's kind of moved around a little bit. It's gone from 8, there's some places say it's 8 events still. Some say it's 4 now. Some say it's 6. Fincham's big line that gets quoted a lot is the noble cause of a half dozen events. And just runs that right up against like his charitable stuff.
That's a great line.
Yeah. Compare that to Monahan saying a series of exhibition events, like another point for Fincham on this. But
yeah.
And he says like, look, this can happen in the market. You can put this up. This is a free country. Anyone can create a new league, a new sport, a new tour. If the Montgomerys and their sponsors want to go out and put on a series of events, they can do that. And our players would have to choose. But the analogy would be that a new football league has started, and rather just hire players, they wanted Troy Aikman and the best players in the NFL to go play in their game. The NFL wouldn't allow that. The NFL has to compete with itself. The NBA doesn't compete with itself, and we shouldn't have to compete with ourselves.
What you're probably saying, if you're now pounding on the steering wheel, the difference is those players are not independent contractors. Troy Aikman's not an independent contractor. He's signed with the Dallas Cowboys as part of the NFL to go play in a set number of games, yada, yada, yada. The tour is trying to have it both ways, right? They're trying to be a membership organization of independent contractors for tax exempt purposes, but also trying to make sure that those people can only kind of play on in one tour, which as you just spell all that out, I'm like, oh, well, that does make sense. I do get why it doesn't work in a different scenario because it is a different sport. It's not a team sport. It's not the same setup. I get how the conversation gets off the ground though, as well. It's just, it's muddy, and it's why it continues to be muddy for 30 years.
It is, but I think the through line here, both for players and for just like the government intervention in it, is like, tearing it down. Who's that make it better? It only makes it better for like maybe the cream of the very top, and you're going to rebuild and restructure that in what way? And that's going to lead to a different set of problems. And that's just a whole different can of worms that I think is.
Well, leave that for me. Cause I'm going to fucking throw a heater right down the middle in about an hour.
Oh, it gets so good. It gets so good in the back. I accidentally came across I sent it over to you of just like the summary of all that Fincham does. It's incredible. He's a boss. He is an alpha.
Only other thing I would add, I don't think this is stepping on anything, is just to underscore what you're saying, Soly, like in my NFL versus PGA Tour, there's also no owners, right? So to your point on like, what's the point of tearing it down? I would understand tearing it down if there's some owner of, there's some stakeholder who's doesn't have a golf club in their hands, who is making 20 times what the players are making, and you're restraining the trade in order to like prop up that person's income. But there's not. Some people like to point at like PGA Tour executives, and the commissioner, it makes a lot of money, and the very, very top level brass makes a lot of money, but not in comparison to, it's pretty commensurate with what's going on at other leagues, with what's going on, in leadership,
with what's going on at other like massive
roles.
Charities.
Exactly.
Or,
and so
or colleges.
I think that's worth pointing out too, is like, the government doesn't need to step in order to keep a Jerry Jones from popping up here. It does make sense to more like let the middle hold and make sure that the whole thing kind of stays propped up.
Glenn Sheehy writes as well, where's the World Tour now? Basically on hold, hoping to stage an event in late 1995, but currently possessing nobody other than Norman willing to risk his PGA standing to participate. Although the prospect of playing more big money tournaments worldwide against the best in the world intrigues prominent PGA Tour players, the threat of suspensions by Commissioner Tim Fincham is hardly appealing. Did the World Tour presume that a sizable number of top players would jump to its side and force Fincham to either suspend them or look the other way? If so, it badly misjudged the response. Fred Couple said, the World Tour right now is nothing. That isn't to say in 2 years it won't be, but right now there is no World Tour.
There was some big time fence sitting from the international players, though. Some quotes. Nick Price, hey man, I'm interested, but I got to see more, a lot of keep me posted. Jimenez, Olafable, same thing. So because I think it would speak to those guys of like, man, I'm not even living in my own country, So, but from the American players, especially with that Palmer meeting, I think was kind of like, nah, this, a little bit frostier.
But Price's was like, hey, you got Fincham figured out, right? Like, I'm interested in this.
Of course,
as long as I'm not at risk here. And it's like, no, well, you are at risk. He's like, okay, well, no. Like I said, I was interested, but I'm not interested in like breaking off with you here, man. I'm not taking that on. So.
Also interesting is that Norman's doing all this stuff, whipping up this, this hoopla. He doesn't get suspended. He balls out in 95, gentlemen.
So like
this is all going on, and he is just killing on the PGA Tour while he's trying to blow it up. It's incredible.
I think in like my heart of hearts, I don't think Norman's trying to blow it up. Like this time around, I don't think he's trying to blow it up. I think he is like, there is more international golf going on in this time period, and guys are playing more total, the money is relatively, with appearance fees and places they're able to go outside of the U.S., they're making a similar amount of money to what they're making on the PGA Tour, right? So that changes now into the late, current day. Like there's just the most money can be made on the PGA Tour now that PIF is out of the picture here. And like to Norman, it's almost like, dude, I don't know if I need you, PGA Tour. I'd rather just play like these 8 events and then go collect my appearance fees around the world.
He's quoted as saying, I just have to play 15 events to keep my card. I just want to play my 15, and then I want to go play these other 8.
Yeah.
And which is valid or like makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense if it's like, the world revolves around you.
Yes, extremely ignorant to think that it wouldn't massively affect the PGA Tour and that people wouldn't have issues with it. John Daly's back after 5 months off. Picture on the front page of a newspaper smoking a cigarette. Daly is a recovering alcoholic, but he's not going to part with his other vice. He said, I'm not going to sit there and quit smoking just because there's some kids out there. I feel I'm a good role model. If I'm not one, I want to be one. He's got a new gym in his house and is more fit, but has a lot of work to do on the belly. He's gained 15 pounds, but he's got a New Year's resolution to forget about the past. That's what I'm going to do in 1995.
Undaunted by what has been.
Unburdened.
Phil is there at the Mercedes to defend his title from the prior year. He's no longer skiing, but he's working on getting his pilot license. Says that he should be able to get it the next time he's home. I don't know if I've ever heard that Phil has a pilot license. I don't know if he followed through on this or
I don't know. I don't
remember this
passing. I know he had a good curiosity in aviation, but I'll put that on my takeaways to look into.
Our hitter again, Larry Bohannon. He penned a column this week
son, maybe
talking about He said there's expect more lawsuits than you can shake a 3-wood at, which I don't know what that means. The Federal Trade Commission this week began lowering a potential boom on the PGA Tour, announcing it would seek blah, blah, blah. The tour will vigorously fight the FTC complaint. That means Fincham and PGA Tour players might get as much court time as Robert Shapiro and Al Cowling. Win or lose, the distraction of such legal actions can't help the tour in 1995. Fincham sounding off. The FTC has been looking at our rules for 4.5 years. It's taken almost 5 years now to determine they ought to ask the commission for action. If the commission goes against us, I look forward to defending those rules in court. If we fail in court, I would look forward to asking the Congress to take action to allow us to continue to be structured the way we are. Fincham said it is our position that our rules are expansive rather than restrictive, cites the TV hours and not restricting output as out there. So this is Fincham's play. Like, hey, we're going to fight you for many, 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 many years on this. I'm getting out in front of this in public. Not only that, I'm going to be like backroom dealing here with a lot of important people in Washington. I'm going to put a spotlight on this for the American people to say, is this a good use of the commission's time? Like, is this how you want to be doing this? Getting some politicians involved, getting their constituents whipped up as well throughout the course of this. So that's all in the first week of the year, which I promise is about to go a lot faster here. John Morse wins the Hawaiian Open, his first win on the PGA Tour. Jim Colbert won the tournament champions there, as mentioned, in Puerto Rico. The Super Bowl is coming up at this time. The 49ers are 17.5-point favorites in that one. Again, January 17th, this coming week, the Golf Channel officially launches. Arnold Palmer and cable entrepreneur Joe Gibbs, not the owner of the Washington Redskins at the time, flipped the ceremonial switch on January 17th. It debuted as the first single sport cable network and initially reached only about 10,000 homes. But its first live tournament was the Dubai Desert Classic. The timing was just perfect. While the tour was defending its power to approve televised golf appearances, an entire 24-hour channel devoted to golf appeared.
Was it just? I mean, it's just infomercials and stuff the whole rest of the time.
Peter Kessler.
And reviews are good.
And stuff.
Golf Central, Golf Talk Live with Peter Kessler. There's Golf Academy on there. A lot of reruns of a lot of these. A lot of that. Infomercials. The cable outlet took 3.5 years and more than $80 million in investment capital before hitting the airwaves. $80 million in 95.
That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
The Kessler interviews are electric.
They're great.
I know our guy kind of maybe lost it on Twitter some years ago, but the early stuff, I mean, I miss it so much. I wish Brandel had a long form interview show. Golf Channel, if you're listening, why are we not doing that? Faraday stuff was great, but then it got really goofy and silly.
Yeah.
And
it's not the same thing.
Just get Brandel sitting down. Like, I don't know.
Brandel might not be the
Rich.
guy.
Or Rich.
Or Rich.
Yeah,
sure.
God, I mean, Rich is a pro. Come on.
Yeah, I love it. But just, I don't know. If
all the Tiger ones, like with Butch Harmon in there, and they're hitting balls into the net and talking about, it's great. And Norman stuff was really good on Golf Talk. I think Kessler has all those on a website somewhere. I don't know how he got like the actual rights to those, but anyways, they are airing the Dubai Desert Classic. It's like the first time the American audiences have gotten, their eyes on Dubai in the 90s and what was taking off there and whatnot. So it was that one hit pretty hard. Northern Telecom Open. Phil Mickelson wins this to become the first player to win at the event as a pro and an amateur. He beat Jim Gallagher Jr. by 1 stroke as Gallagher bogeyed the 18th. More on Gallagher later. Jim Gallagher Jr. That boy was him in 1995.
He was.
Fred Couples becomes the first American to win the Dubai Desert Classic. He's over there playing on the European Tour. John Daly had a shot strike an official that left him bloodied. He missed the cut, which was getting everywhere in the papers. Vijay Singh wins the Phoenix Open on January 29th in a playoff over Billy Mayfair. He credits his swing coach, Mac O'Grady, for the victory.
Got to do a Mac O'Grady deep dive. I'm itchy for that one.
Articles written about how the Phoenix Open keeps getting bigger and bigger. Week-long total of 392,000 people attend here in 1995. It is well over 500,000 now, just a few years later. But all kinds of stuff about the Thunderbirds, what they've done to grow the tournament. Again, all still the same here in 2026. So during this week,
no stadium at 16 yet. Still
correct.
Just very informal gathering.
Come through.
come through.
This
Love to have
week, January 26th through 28th, Tim Finchem meets for 2 days with members of the Senate and House of Representatives regarding the FTC probe into the PGA Tour release rules. January 28th, Tim Finchem is photographed on a 4-mile run with President Bill Clinton. The only picture I could find of this is super distorted black and white picture from a newspaper, and I couldn't find it anywhere else. But
come on, Timmy, let's go for a run.
But the optics of that of like, yeah, I'm going to win this. Like I'm literally, I know everybody in Washington. I know how this city works. I'm going to take care of this. Fred Couples wins the Johnny Walker Classic in the Philippines, back-to-back international wins for Couples.
World
But again,
Tour.
you can sense the slow start to the year. Couples, the top-ranked American, is playing internationally instead of on a lot of these West Coast events. Pebble Beach, Peter Jacobsen wins his 5th PGA Tour event. We are, and if you haven't noticed yet, we are on a heater of winners that's going to go on for a long, long, long time. Through my entire section of this show. Jacobsen's in his 40s. He had tried TV a bit in 93, didn't like it. This is only win number 5 in his 17th year on tour. Jacobsen, a popular player. He's been on the policy board for 6 years. He's got quote unquote aura, according to the Press Democrat.
Riz.
Yeah, he does have the Riz. Got fluff on the bag. Fluff's been on the bag for 17 years now. And David Duval played as in the final pairing for the first time at a PGA Tour event. Shot 67 in the final pairing, but did not win it. Duval is 23 years old and a rookie on the PGA Tour. If you remember, things weren't going great with Dean Beeman and Bill Murray in the prior year. Bill Murray had called the PGA Tour a Nazi state, among other things. Finchem did write 2 letters to Bill Murray to persuade him to play in it. Murray, of course, dragged an elderly woman into the bunker a year prior and danced with her until she fell. Finchem would describe it that he's using his artistic capabilities to create interest. It's just another. I'm falling in love with Tim Finchem, by the way, if you can't tell. Nick Faldo's here this week and is now a full-timer on the PGA Tour for the first time since 1989. Just found it interesting. Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson are set to play a Shell's Wonderful World of Golf the next day at Pebble. The public was free to come out and watch. Parking was like $6 for it, but you could just come watch them play a Wonderful World of Golf on that Monday after the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So
That sounds great.
Simpler times.
Yeah.
John Stockton passed Magic Johnson this week for career assists as well.
I thought you were saying passed away. I was like, I don't think that's right. That might be a ChatGPT thing. I don't think that's right.
John Stockton got HIV. I told me.
Oh, God.
Peter Jacobsen wins again the next week at the Buick Invitational of California, going back-to-back at Torrey Pines, picks up his wife afterward, and like the jokester that he is, acts like he's going to throw her in the pond at Torrey, but he doesn't do it.
And don't get that Buick Invitational confused with the Buick Classic or the Buick Open.
Buick Open, Buick Invitational.
Don't get them twisted.
It almost reminds me of like, remember when Stu Sink, Unfinished Business, went on just a weird heater? You know, what was that, like 5-6 years ago? Where it's just like, man, is this guy like the best player in the world at like 49, 51, whatever he was?
Yeah,
it sounds like a similar run.
Yeah. He won by 4 over Kalk and Mike Hulbert. Well, more on Hulbert here in a little bit as well. He said the Pebble victory had allowed him to recognize he was operating in a completely new competitive reality. Next week, Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. Kenny Perry wins just 2 weeks after he blew a 3-shot lead at Pebble. Duval finishes second again. Of course, Duval is going to make some history at this event a little later. He is knocking on the door. Kenny Perry's building a golf course back home in Franklin, Kentucky, County Creek Golf Club. He says the debt from the course has him rededicated and focused. Said when you borrow $1.5 million, when you borrow $1.5 million from the bank, it gets you focused. That he was signing the check right away over to the bank. The course concept sounds cool. It does exist still. I looked this up as well. The greens fees at the course will be $12. The cart will cost $8. So it's a public golf course, despite it being called a golf club. That Kenny's building back in his hometown.
How about that? Can we double click on that for a sec? Can you imagine? I don't know who would be Russell Henley or someone just being like, you know what? I'm going to build a affordable public golf course in Columbus, Georgia.
It's like Zach Blair.
Right.
You know,
no, I think I could see a lot of players building like a high end retreat. Sure. But shout out to Kenny Perry. I had no idea he did that. I'm gonna check that place out if I'm ever in.
I don't know the full history. Maybe it was supposed to be a country club and didn't end up working out. I don't know exactly, but it does still exist on Kenny Perry Lane or Drive or something. I think.
That's convenient. He found that. Yeah, it worked out.
It's great luck. Duval's second on the money list. Again, as a rookie on the PGA Tour, T14 in Hawaii, T6 at the Northern Telecom, runner-up at Pebble, and Bob Hope had T17 at Doral as well. I'll say it. Get him on the team.
For
Get him
sure.
on the team.
Maybe not the charisma, not the Riz, but whiffs of the kid coming from Duval here.
1995, they were not looking very fondly on rookies, unfortunately, I think, for our guy a little later on.
That's blame Sam Snead for that one.
One of the groups at the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, sitting president Bill Clinton, former president George H.W. Bush, former president Gerald Ford, and Bob Hope, playing as a fivesome with defending champion Scott Hoke. George Bush hit a spectator, Norma Early, in the face, breaking her glasses and requiring 10 stitches. Also hit another spectator in the backside. Gerald Ford hit a woman's finger as well. The group took 6 hours to finish. Tom Kite was in the group behind them and laid down in the fairway in protest. And officials tried to bribe the 91-year-old Bob Hope with some ice cream to get him to leave, but he insisted on finishing if all the presidents were going to finish as well. So...
Jesus.
And worth noting, this does cut. We're recording this the week after President Trump's 70 at the member guest where he was apparently playing off a course handicap 0. So maybe you could have got him out there to speed things up.
I could see him and Biden playing together.
I mean, say what you want, but did you see that? Do you see the spin he put on that wedge shot? Sheesh, nation.
I was saying, what if he was? Yeah, we don't have to get into it, but. What if he was just playing the golf course? What if he did shoot 70, but he was playing the golf course from like 900 yards? Like, what if that was his tee shot? That little greenside pitch. I don't know. Would like to explore the space.
Summer golf is here. Our closets are looking a lot like the Rhoback website right now. This lightweight technical hoodie is another one of my favorites. Great for summer. Rhoback's lightweight looper short. This is exactly what you need for hot weather golf. It feels exactly like a gym short, but it looks like a proper golf short. It's got a stretch waistband. It's got belt loops. It's got a real button fly. It's very lightweight. If you got a swamp ass problem, these are for you. They got a ton of different colors. I haven't found a bad one of those yet. We have also fall is quickly approaching. That means it's time for Rhoback's game day collection. Same favorites as well as new styles available. They got some new schools added. Boston College, UC Berkeley, University of Central Florida, Creighton U, Oregon State, Rutgers, USC, Stanford, University of Washington, Washington State, University of Wisconsin. You can check out all of their official licensed offerings at rhoback.com. If your school isn't on the list yet, just use their selector tool. Let them know. They will get on it. That's a eclectic list of schools they've got there. Rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com, code NLU for 20% off your first order through the end of the week. That's RHOBACK.com, code NLU. Rhoback, we thank you. Back to the pod. This week was the Alfred Dunhill Challenge. It's a team event. In this team event, Greg Norman and Nick Price are playing each other. It turns into a little bit of a joke because they both conceded long putts to each other on 17, so their TV match would reach the 18th hole. Ken Schofield from the European Tour, not happy about that. It becomes a pretty mocking line. Like Lanny Watkins started railing on it of like, how important the Ryder Cup is and how silly a lot of these team events are that are popping up. So more on the FTC investigation this week. Fincham calls it the bureaucratic momentum at its zenith. He's expecting a ruling within days. He said if the commissioners vote to continue, has already been a 5-year investigation, could start another legal proceeding. They'll stretch 3 more years. If they lose, they'll appeal, drawing out their 2 years. This is the rhetoric that Fincham's going with. We are going to drag this out if you rule against us. He, that week, defended the rules by saying abandoning them could mean an explosion of big money, limited field events that would help a handful of players and promoters, but hurt the game and a majority of players. Sounds familiar. He also says in recent interviews that the investigation is making conversation with sponsors much more difficult and that they use the rules to maintain the allure of the sport to their sponsors and their networks. And he said that Norman is the only one that has called him to say, hey, maybe we should think about these rules. As in all the other players agree to the rules, and Norman's the only one that is spoken to Fincham about maybe not agreeing with them. So also an interesting card to play of like, yeah, you are hurting our industry by looking into this right now, like ramping up the pressure of like shit or get off the pot here. You doing this or not? Like I'm ready to take this head on, but you guys got to make a move here. Nissan Open, Corey Pavin wins for the second consecutive year. He wins by 3 over Kenny Perry, collecting that money to turn over to the bank. And J. Don Blake. Of course, the PGA Championship will be returning to Riviera in August as well. Greg Norman's in South Africa this week. He says about the World Tour, it will happen. The majority of the people around the world would like to see it happen. Which, yeah, that would mean, I don't know how many, there's 8 billion people now, maybe there's 6 billion in 95. So over 3 billion people want this World Tour to happen, is kind of Scott O'Neill rhetoric that we've heard recently. So next week, the Doral Ryder Open. Nick Faldo wins for just the second time in an actual PGA Tour event, ignoring the 5 majors that he's won. Faldo drives it in the water on 18, leading by a shot, but he saved bogey with a miraculous 3-wood and hold a 20-foot putt. Norman just needed a par to tie, but hit it 6-iron from 179. And again, this is heavily emphasized. He hit it into the middle of the lake. Like, he didn't just hit it in the water. He chunks it out of the rough into the middle of the lake, 50 yards from his target. And articles are written afterwards about how Faldo's trying to work to change his image in the U.S., blah, blah, blah. Peter Jacobsen almost made a 60-footer on the 18th to tie as well, and go into a playoff, which would have been his 3rd win of the spring, or of the winter. So, Honda Classic, little drama. Marco Miro wins his 9th tour event. This is at Weston Hills, wins it by a shot. O'Meara played out of turn to finish up on the 1-foot putt because he was so nervous and didn't want to wait for it. O'Meara wouldn't have played this week had he not forgotten to enter the Nissan Open 2 weeks earlier. He showed up at Riviera ready to play a practice round. Oh. Problem was he had not phoned in to enter the tournament, and it was too late. Faldo finished runner-up this week as well. Mike Hulbert finishes 13th. Mike Hulbert, he putts one-handed. He's got the yips so bad, he is on the PGA Tour putting one-handed. I can only find one clip of him doing it at the Memorial later that year, but he puts his left hand on his hip and putts entirely with his right hand. Which is, again, his second top finish of the year so far to this point.
Something to track, the whole Bear report. Yeah.
That's jarring. Okay. File that under the, when we compare eras. It's not the entire thing. We're like, well, some of those guys were putting one-handed.
You got to remember, firemen, one-handed putters.
They're really good. They're really, really, really good. I promise. But some of them objectively were putting one-handed.
Glenn Day is assessed a one-shot penalty. This is my trivia question. Is assessed a one-shot penalty for slow play in the 3rd round, earned him the nickname. It was going to be the trivia question. It is, of course, all day.
And that was the last slow play penalty issued on the PGA Tour.
It's crazy. Nobody has played slow since then.
I was getting ready to say it. Finish that sentence, Neil. I was getting ready to say it. The last penalty stroke given out on the PGA Tour for blank years. How many years?
Until the 14-year-old at Augusta.
That was the Masters.
That wouldn't even count.
This is a PGA Tour. Non-major?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't
know if there's been
12 years?
22 years. It came in 2017, the Zurich, I think, in a team format. I don't, again, that might have been bad AI if I remember right, but I think I think it took until 2017 for the next slow play penalty to be dished out in the PGA Tour.
Fucks.
So some questions loom about where the tournament's going to be played next year, whether it will stay or move to its new long-term home in Coral Springs at Heron Bay. It actually ends up going to TPC Eagle Trace for a year before going to Heron Bay. They claimed Heron Bay was going to be ready, but the golf course was not ready in time. It was a brand new golf course, and they didn't get it built in time to host the Honda Classic in '96. So, Bay Hill, Lauren Roberts wins his second PGA Tour event, defending his title. He won Bay Hill the year prior. Former club
Matt Every
pro
situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a horse for the course, man.
He had to go back to Q School 3 times. Again, wins at Bay Hill again. And the field had the top 24 players in the Sony World Rankings. Palmer had that Riz, man. He was getting people to come to his tournament. During this week, Palmer does call his own meeting. When the tour arrived at Bay Hill, summoned Norman. Davis Love recounts it that I was told to go tell Greg he had to go to the meeting. As he was afraid to do so. Norman, Couples, Love, and Fincham huddled in Palmer's office that overlooked the putting green at Bay Hill. The line was drawn right there. Arnold said, look, it's over. This is not the way we set up the PGA Tour. Jack and I set this up to run the way it's run. We could have taken ownership, but we set it up to benefit everyone, not just certain players. If I was in that meeting, I would have maybe reminded Palmer of his breakaway attempt in '83 that Jack tried to talk him into. It's a little bit of revisionist history from Palmer, but he stood up and said, "You don't think Jack and Gary and I could have done this? Once those guys stepped up and they were against it, especially Arnold, it was over fast. They left the room and it was over." So brings us to the players. March 26th, just 2 weeks before the Masters, is when the players was at this time, and big reviews are in for Fincham. This is a big, it's a kind of a State of the Union week always for the PGA Tour commissioner. He is in every newspaper I could find, just getting rave remarks in public, as most of the first-time commissioners get. Communication skills, openness with the players, handling of the World Golf Tour, eliciting a strong foundation of support among the players. That's the Jacksonville Times Union. Even Greg Norman says, "I've probably had more communication with Tim in the first 5 or 6 weeks than I had in Dean Beeman in 12 years. He said, "Since November, he and I have had wonderful communication. There has never been any animosity between the two of us. Neither one of us wants to see anyone get hurt." We'll see about that.
Which again sounds a lot like the roll-up stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's just a lot. We got finally an adult in the room here.
But sounds like Monahan's first year too. Everybody's, this is the greatest guy ever.
100%.
Purse up to $3 million for the players. Winner's going to get $540,000. David Duval not eligible for the event, as Nike Tour graduates were not automatically qualified, but he gets a special exemption. The hometown kid gets a special exemption into the players. It was not very controversial. It was a player's decision in this, and the players on the board were like, "This dude should be in the tournament." It was an easy one. Davis Love, Brad Faxon, I think, are on the board at this time, and they were like, "Let's get this guy in the tournament." And there was 5 other special exemptions as well, so it's not just a completely special thing for him. But
I'm for it. Sounds great.
I want to find some footage from this Thursday. 41 balls in the water on 17 on Thursday. The wind blew Tom Watson's hat into the lake. O'Meara and Faldo each put 2 balls in the water. Both made 7s. There's 23 scores in the 80s and only 20 subpar rounds. PTI, Randy would have loved this day. 50 scores of double or worse on the last 2 holes alone.
Jesus.
And Corey Pavin shot 66 with 22 putts.
Oh.
Syringes were brought out with a cooling spray on the greens at one point because of how hard the wind was blowing.
It's like those soccer injuries.
It's cooling off the earth.
So not a fan, bruv.
It's not a fan.
Who won? I'm trying to remember.
Jansen wins by 1 over Bernard Longer. Big win for Jansen. He'd been mocked for changing equipment and caddies after, quote, flukishly winning the 1993 U.S. Open. It was just his second win since then. A little full circle moment. 3 years prior, at the 92 Players, Jansen had chucked his putter into the water on the 6th hole. He had, the wherewithal in that moment after the round to go back out and fish it out of the pond. And wouldn't you know it, that week he used the same putter to claim the $540,000 prize. How
what
about
a story that is.
5th major talk really ramping up. There's an article in the Palm Beach Post that also says the players has an identity crisis. But a lot of articles saying why isn't this a major? It's got it, blah, blah, blah. And again, what's not helping this year, Michael Jordan is returning this week to the Chicago Bulls. And Faldo shoots 80 in the opening round, was asked about it and says, "I've got your fucking story. Bridgestone put the wrong balls in my locker."
The driver sucks.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds familiar.
Faldo uses Rexstar 40 Bellatas, but was accidentally given 50s, which do not perform as well in the wind. So that was the reason why he shot 80s. So again, talks of it moving to May, not immediately, but the advantages of moving the players to May, one is it would better align the players with the 4 recognized majors. It would shift the players away from the Masters shadow. Again, the disadvantages are that television, NBC's got the rights to the players and the NBA. The NBA playoffs are going on in May. It would take another 12 years before the players would officially move to May in 2007. Of note, Dean Beeman's back out on the senior tour. If you remember, Dean Beeman, part of the reason he rolled off of commissioner is he wanted to play, get back to playing golf.
Great player in his own right.
Great player in his own right. He's made 4 starts so far, T72, T29, T64, and I think a T14, if I remember right. I messed that up, but he gets 2 top 10s on the year, makes $154,000.
They should make Monahan play the Champions Tour. Just no, man, you got to play. Save tees, save everything.
It's part of the job, man.
You got to go and play for a full year, and then you could get this exit package. Then you could have it, but you got to grind it out. No cut either.
God, those tapes of Beeman's '95 campaign, Deej.
Killer stuff, man. I just listened to those while I was mowing my grass the other day. Yeah.
Neil, did you come across anything on the Anderson Consulting World Championship of Golf?
I didn't.
Okay. I flagged this because I don't really remember this, but so this is this event is announced. I remember this name, Anderson Consulting World Championship of Golf, and I remember the commercials for it. I remember the sound of that. I didn't know what it was though, but it says the run to the title starts April 10th and 11th, just after the Masters.
It was a fake tournament. It was all just on the balance sheet.
It might have been. I think this was AI.
If it's Arthur Anderson and the
it was a complete Ponzi scheme
of Enron fame, it could be.
It's 16 players, 8 Americans and 8 representing the world. All matches are single elimination match play. And so the first match is going to be right after the Masters. Lehman against Mark McCumber and Fuzzy Zeller against Paul Azinger. And then Frank Nobilo is going to play Steve Elkington. VJ is going to play Robert Allenby. And then Tuesday, Tom Kite against Lauren Roberts, Corey Pavin versus Phil Mickelson, Mark McNulty against Craig Perry, and David Frost against Eduardo Romero. And from there, this is again played right after the Masters, Monday and Tuesday, I think, after the Masters. From there, the foreign survivors are going to play in Oxfordshire 2 days after the British Open, and the Americans are going to play on July 31st and August 1st in Kohler, Wisconsin. And I didn't know if you came across, I don't know if that was Black Wolf Run or if their Whistling Straits didn't exist yet. I don't know what they were doing up there. I didn't know if that came across your desk, but the 4 golfers are going to advance to the finals December 30th and 31st at Greyhawk. ESPN televised 49 and a half hours of this event. This is just a special made-for-TV event that I if you'd asked me what the Anderson Consulting World Championship of Golf was, I would not have been able to list it off for you. But
no, I mean, I was focusing my research on like PGA Tour, so that's what probably fenced it off. But I'm intrigued.
Interesting foreshadowing here. The heads of the 5 families meet in Ponte Vedra this week. The U.S. Tour, the European Tour, Australasia, Japan, and South Africa to celebrate the death of the World Golf Tour. No, they form the World Forum of PGA Tours, which would, of course, later become the International Federation of PGA Tours.
The League of Nations.
You can see where this is going to be heading towards the events they're going to put together here. But this is the first meeting of all of them here, and probably an offshoot and takeaway from the World Golf Tour talks of like Fincham's trying to get his arms around basically all the other tours as well. So
WGCs.
I wonder where they went. Sierra Grill.
2 dudes. They weren't a lot of places yet. That's a very regionalized joke there. An article from Ron Syrak highlights how America is where the big money is in golf. Clearly, he says, quote, clearly the European Tour is serving as a very nice developmental league for the US PGA Tour, sort of a AAA in knickers. Bolt in the 90s. Yeah. Again, I would kind of associate the tours being somewhat even at this time, but it's kind of fading pretty quickly for the European Tour in the mid-90s. So, all right, I'm pausing the PGA Tour action here to give a little bit of an update for the golf world as a whole. You guys have any idea, any guesses as to what this might be? Any developments? It affects pro golf as well. It's going to affect the recreational golfers as well. But do you remember kind of what happens early 1995?
It's not Square Grooves, is it?
It's not Square Grooves, but it is. You're fishing in the right pond. It's not really rules related. It's just a big development on the equipment front.
Not the Pro V1.
It's not the Pro V1.
Something similar, new innovation,
something great, and it's big.
Oh, sure, Great Big Bertha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So titanium driver. We're brought to you by Titleist, by the way, if you can't tell here, but we're gonna cover a little news here. Titanium drivers had been in existence since the early 90s, but they were expensive. Availability wasn't high, and it just really hadn't caught on yet. And Callaway breaks through with the Great Big Bertha. And this is from Golf WRX. It says the full titanium construction allowed for a significantly larger head at how many cc's was the significally larger head?
Oh, it's like 370 or 390.
253. Oh 253 cc's for more forgiveness. which must have looked huge compared to the original Big Bertha driver at a mere 190 cc's. It is now twice the size of a conventional persimmon driver. What do you think the cost of this was in 1995?
I'm going to say $150.
Yeah, I had 199 in my head.
$500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Serious.
It's expensive now. GTS is a good deal. People get out and buy a Titleist GTS. The cost is driven by the Ruger titanium clubhead made exclusively for Callaway by firearm maker Stern, Ruger and Company. The Ruger titanium head costs more than 4 times as much as Callaway paid any foundry for any other club head. The titanium weighs substantially less than the stainless steel drivers, and with over 250,000 drivers sold in its first year, it became the best-selling driver of its time, proving the titanium wasn't just viable, it was revolutionary. Pros like Phil Mickelson, Annika Sorenstam put it in play. What made it great was how well it worked for the average golfer. Callaway turned titanium from a cool idea into a category disruptor, and the ripple effect was immediate. Competitors scrambled to catch up. Titanium quickly became the standard, and driver design would never be the same. It changed the trajectory of modern driver technology. TaylorMade hustled and launched the
burner.
The burner was out, but the bubble shaft.
Oh, yeah.
With it, that was also $500. Driving distance is about to increase by 26 yards on average in the next 10 years.
Guys are doing sit-ups like crazy.
Gosh, I didn't realize a firearm company made that ballistic face technology.
By 2005, 97 players would be hitting it farther than John Daly hit it in 1995, when he, of course, led the tour. Again, just a quick pause here to say, like, Daly was the needle in the 90s for how far he hit it. It was like 289 or something like that, and everyone was in awe of that because, of course, distance is relative, and it doesn't matter if the ball goes 340 or 290. Distance is relative, and we lost our way with that one.
You think it's cool Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire hitting a bunch of home runs? What if everybody hit home runs? Wouldn't that be way better?
Listen, I've never made it to March in any one year without a Ryder Cup update. So a quick Ryder Cup update. We're going to be playing the Ryder Cup this fall at Oak Hill. I think it's kind of funny, like the narrative around the event at the time. The U.S. is coming off back-to-back wins at Kiowa and the Belfry, and they've got a home win coming up at Oak Hill in September, complete opposite of what we've got going here in 2026. But Monty says, if America keeps winning, the Ryder Cup will lose what it has gained. Europe must win, and sooner rather than later. If we are not careful, the Ryder Cup will cease to be the great event that it is now.
Don't have to worry about that.
All kinds of weird articles written, the sparse crowds on the European Tour and how big they are on the PGA Tour gives the Americans a big advantage. Some real leadership is shown by Tom Watson early on. Lanny Watkins is the captain. But Watson says, quote, he said that if he qualified for the team, he would want to play as well. I told him no way. I thought the same, but when I got into the job, I knew that to be captain and play well was impossible. It wouldn't be fair to them nor to his own golf. Just interesting. So
presented without comment.
It's interesting. That's all.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure the Ryder Cup's is a much smaller deal now. It is probably way easier to be captain.
Ryder Cup prices are $200 for general admission. It's not a new thing that Ryder Cup tickets are very expensive. They're expecting 1,500 media credentials to be issued. Tickets are hot. They're just 8 years after they failed to sell out 25,000 tickets at Muirfield Village in 87. Hospitality tents are up to 56 from just the 15 in 87. Golf's booming, man. Golf is booming.
Yeah.
I'm going to move quickly through this next-ish part. Davis Love wins his 9th PGA Tour event at the Freeport McMorran Classic. He needed a win to get in the Masters, which kind of amazed me for Davis Love, but he did it. Duval, another great finish. He finished 3rd. Duval's up to 5th on the money list. Of weird note that week, Tim Fincham stops by Springfield, Missouri to present John Q. Hammonds with an artist rendering of the World Golf Village, which is set to be the new international home for the game of golf.
For the love of golf, you need to go.
You know how many fucking hours I spent in the car because of that meeting? Driving down to St. Augustine to that hellhole.
Not a hellhole, Deej. Not a hellhole.
Yeah.
Hammonds will be building a massive resort hotel and convention center at World Golf Village just outside St. Augustine, which will include a 75,000 square foot golf hall of fame. Construction to begin in September is anticipated to open in September 1997. And Fincham says, it's not going to be a static, once you've seen it, you've done it kind of facility. It's going to be a living, breathing, highly interactive audio-visual experience, which everything I've ever heard about that is literally the exact opposite of how that ended up working out.
God, it could be. It is a good idea, genuinely. Like, golfers love golf. They would love a space like this. It's just not that. Didn't get the critical
execute.
mass in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's just hard to draw people in. The IMAX theater was sick. I did go there a lot.
Similar to how we did 1994, we're not going to be covering the majors in detail here. You can check out the 1995 Major Championships in episode 669 of this here podcast. Go into great detail of all of those. But of course, Ben Crenshaw wins the Masters the next week in 1995. Bob Tway wins the MCI Classic at Heritage at Harbortown. 7th career title, defeats Nolan Henke in 2 playoff holes. First win for Tway since 1990. Jim Gallagher Jr. breaks through, wins his 4th PGA Tour event, wins by 1 over Sluman and Peter Jacobsen. Again, Jacobsen absolutely fucking people up back then. Gallagher was 7 shots back, shot 66 to win the Kmart Greater Greensboro. Some world news that week. That was the week of the Oklahoma City bombing, and players were wearing pins on their hats or ribbons on their hats for that one. Neil, we were surprised in 94 the name Payne Stewart didn't come up a whole heck of a lot. Kind of struggled with his game in this time period, but he wins the Shell Houston Open. His 9th career PGA Tour event came from 6 shots down, beating Scott Hoke in a playoff. It snapped a 4-year winless streak for Stewart. Hoke had a 7-shot lead at one point and said afterward, quote, "You can print it now. Hoke as in choke."
That's good stuff. Oh, man. How about that?
I mean, he was already called that after the 1989 Masters. His lead was 6 shots with 7 holes to go over Stewart. He also made a 35-footer for birdie on 18 just to get into the playoff. That's how badly it went on the previous 5 holes. Fulton Alum.
Do we have less chokers in golf these days?
Technology, man.
Right?
Yeah.
I think truly. Like, I
less
think that's
downside. It's just less downside.
Yeah.
Right. I just, every time we go through this, I'm just like, man, people used to
and putter
really
technology.
Explode.
Do you remember trying to make 3-footers with like a ping answer like back in the day? Like, oh my God, you could not close the club face on that. It was a disaster.
Yeah. So it's a very good point.
Fulton Allen was DQ'd. He did not show up for his tee time, did not get his wake-up call. That was tough.
Come on, man.
Calc wins the Bell South Classic by 2 shots over Jim Gallagher Jr., who would win twice this year, 2 runner-ups and a 3rd, all in 1995. One of the third-round co-leaders was Stephen Kepler. He was bidding to become the first club pro to win on the PGA Tour since 1974. Played a good final round, finished in 3rd place. Kepler's a British citizen, played college golf at FSU. Ernie Els wins the GT Byron Nelson Golf Classic. It's just his 2nd PGA Tour win, but it's his 15th worldwide victory. This is at TPC 4 Seasons. Vijay Singh wins the Buick Classic the next week. His 3rd career title, 2nd of the year, 5-hole playoff over Doug Martin. It's his 2nd win in 3 years at Westchester for Vijay. Vijay's 32 years old. A lot here about only 70,000 fans showed up for this week. New York golf fans are just taking a beating for this one. The schedule change, which we talked about in the 94 episode, going from 1 week before the U.S. Open to mid-May, absolutely crushed the field. That switch came after Jack Nicklaus pressured the tour related to the Memorial and the Kemper Open, who wanted later dates on the calendar as well. Trivia question again. The Buick Classic. What tournament is this now?
Truist?
It's not. You got to think outside the box on this.
I know. I'm trying to trace all this. It wouldn't. I mean, it's not like the Rocket.
No, it's.
I'm trying to think. Like, did it move to
higher level
Michigan, and then? Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. Is it like it was the Barclays and then the Northern Trust and now FedEx?
It's exactly right.
Okay,
it's the
God,
FedEx St. Jude Classic.
I should have went with my gut. That was my first thought.
Weirdest tournament Wikipedia page ever of just, those two do not feel like the same event. From the
Big
Buick
Tone.
Classic. Yeah.
But there is my section kicks off if the FedEx St. Jude Classic.
Say what?
My section kicks off July 2nd, FedEx St. Jude Classic.
But different tournament. That's Harrison Frazier and Daniel Berger, things of that nature.
Different tournament. Because that tournament,
I don't know why you think the two tournaments in Memphis would be the same tournaments that are both sponsored by FedEx. Yeah, I don't know why you would think that.
Oh, my bad. Also, just another little, from 30 years ago, look at big markets. We're chasing big markets. Here's an article about, there's just a lot more to do in these big markets. It might not be the only game in town this time of year.
Yeah.
Yep. On to Colonial. Tom Lehman wins his second career PGA Tour event, makes a 24-foot birdie on 18 to win by 1 over Craig Perry. It's just the third birdie on the 18th to win the tournament in the event's 49-year history. This is where I'm going to pause to just call out the consecutive winners on tour that we've gone through this year. Phil Mickelson, Vijay Singh, Peter Jacobsen, Kenny Perry, Corey Pavin, Nick Faldo, Mark O'Meara, Lauren Roberts, Lee Jansen, Davis Love, Ben Crenshaw, Bob Tway, Jim Gallagher Jr., Payne Stewart, Mark Calcavecchia, Ernie Els, Vijay Singh, and now Tom Lehman. 14 of those 19 events were won by major champions, and we're not done with this run as well. And Elk won to start the year.
Heavies.
Right?
Yeah, and for, the majority of the top 10 being international players, that's a heavy-duty list of Americans. So we credit that to strength of the Euro Tour, but also just like, maybe not brand names, but still a lot of depth in the U.S. ranks this year.
This is the only event.
Duval also, sorry, but Duval is
coming.
a 23-year-old guy that's like about to break the door down.
This is the only event on the PGA Tour calendar that's not sponsored. Southwestern Bell declined to renew its agreement after the 94 tournament, but the tour is committed to Colonial through at least the next 3 years. It would eventually be MasterCard that takes over in a masterful sales
Time
job,
is a flat circle. Shout out to Dean and DeLuca. Shout out to Schwab.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Crown Plaza.
That's incredible.
I'm curious if you found a follow-up to this part, Neil. In this time period, Fincham said he would support a trim of exempt players on the tour from 125 players to 115 for the 1997 season. It will be voted on here shortly. I think that vote does eventually pass here in just a couple of weeks, but needed to go. I think I'll get there. And this would basically the idea here to help more graduates from tour school. The policy board has passed the 3 changes on the meeting on the 6th, which proposed reducing those exempt cards, restricting graduates from Q school from top 40 in ties to just the top 40, and reducing PGA section openings in each tournament from 5 down to 3. But it still has to be reviewed by the PAC and membership before a request is made for board ratification later in this year. Because I don't think this ever happened. I don't think they moved down to 115.
Anything here.
Okay. Memorial Tournament, I would have been here for this. Greg Norman wins his 15th PGA Tour title, second Memorial. He won this after a 6-week layoff with an injury. He won by 4 over Duval, Calc, and Steve Elkington. Big rain week in Dublin, Ohio, as you might imagine.
Chief Leatherlips.
Curse of Leatherlips.
Were the cicadas out?
No, every 17 years. It was 04, and I guess that would have been, 87 before that.
Yeah,
where cicadas. Yeah, so my graduation summer was filled with cicadas. That's how I remember that. Lee Jansen wins his 6th career. He won the Kemper Open, second of the year, won in a playoff over Corey Pavin at TPC Potomac. Fincham in this time period talking about the Philly market. Love to get an event in Philly. Found that pretty, Roll-Up saying the same thing. Love the Philly market. Love to get an event there. So takes us to U.S. Open. Corey Pavin wins that at Shinnecock. And then the last event in my coverage, Greg Norman, again, wins in Hartford, wins his 16th PGA Tour event after finishing runner-up the previous week at Shinnecock, won by 2 over Kirk Triplett and Dave Stockton and Grant Waite. Chipped in for an eagle on the 15th hole. I could not find if it was stopped by the rough left of that green or not, but did chip in for eagle on 15. Ryder Cup point standings at this point: Corey Pavin, Tom Lehman, Davis Love, Phil Mickelson, Lauren Roberts, Ben Crenshaw, Peter Jacobsen, Jay Haas, Mark Calcavecchia, Kenny Perry. Faxon and Jansen are tied at 11th. Curtis Strange is in 20th. Fred Couples not in the top 20 at this point.
And what's the selection process at this time, Soly?
Top 10 on the points list get in, and 2 captains picks.
Captains picks. Okay.
Yeah. Now is the time to visit Pinehurst Resort. At the cradle of American golf, Pinehurst is more than the famed number 2, an anchor site of the U.S. Open. It's Tom Doak's masterful number 10, 4 historic hotels, and newly built luxury cottages at Pinehurst number 8, the one-of-a-kind Titleist shop at Pinehurst, a trio of dynamic experiences in Station 21, Plate, and Wiregrass. Pinehurst blends timeless charm with the very best in the game today. We are excited to get down to Pinehurst here in a couple of months for something I think you guys are going to really love. Visit pinehurst.com to plan your next stay. Pinehurst.com. Tell them we sent you. Back to the pod. All right, Neil, with that, I hand the reins over to you for the second half of 1995.
Turn it up. Let's go. Oots, 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 oots. Good stuff, Soly. Listen, there's going to be some there's some patterns developing, some names we're going to see early, just some scene setting for what's going on in the summer of 95. Biggest movie of the summer. What is it, Deej?
I don't know. Jurassic Park. No, that's too late. Or Independence Day. That's
Batman Forever.
Oh, sure. Tommy Lee Jones.
Val Kilmer. Jim Carrey's The Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face. Opened June 16th. Then record $52.8 million weekend. $184 million domestic haul. Good stuff. Song of the summer.
Soly tipped the Macarena earlier.
No, it's not yet. It takes off in 96.
Oh, duh. Is it Kiss from a Rose?
That's one of them. It's another song of the summer.
I mean, that's from the movie, right?
Yeah. Seal, Don't Call Me Sting.
Yeah.
But from Batman, but Waterfalls by TLC.
Sure.
E-Boys, Left Eye, and Chili were doing it.
A lot of people thought it was about a guy named Jason Waterfalls, which it was not. Yeah.
Best-selling book.
It's got to be Michael Crichton or
Close.
something like that.
Close. You're in the right pond.
John Grisham.
Grisham, the Rainmaker.
Okay.
And then Windows 95 was launched August 24th. Amazon.com sold its very first book. In developers. I love this company. Amazon sold its first book in July of 95. Jerry Garcia dies. Grateful Dead, August 9th, 1995 at 53. Just a cultural gut punch, Deej.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, yeah, and then sports backdrop, we talked about baseball's just kind of in the throes of labor disagreement. So that's kind of the background. So start in July, as we just learned, FedEx St. Jude Classic, not the current FedEx St. Jude Classic, but there was a FedEx St. Jude Classic. It's won by Jim Gallagher Jr. Just a quick apology. Jim, was not familiar with your game. I see you balling in 1995.
And this is now we're into what, July?
July 2nd. Yeah, 2nd.
That sounds hot as hell.
Yes, it does. This is Jim's 5th and final PGA Tour win. He had 9 total professional wins, 1 tour championship in 1993. I need to give TPC Southwind some credit here. I was thinking about it as like some course that was built 10 years ago. It's been around a while.
For sure.
Kind of an OG tour stop. TPC Southwind was designed by Ron Pritchard with consulting from Hubert Green and Fuzzy Zeller.
Is that Guy Berger's 59 was there? I think it was in Memphis. We don't have to spend a lot of time on that, but I was going to reinforce your point that the place has been around for a while.
It was the Memphis Classic in 1977 at Colonial Country Club in Cordova, Tennessee.
Close.
If
throw out
AI overview of Google is correct, yes.
Throw out my whole testimony.
And I should preface this by saying, shout out to Dan Carlin. I'm not a historian.
Sure.
So
we're approaching 2 hours. It's going to start to get loose here.
I consult Tuckman on the Great War. All right. So next up, Motorola Western Open. Don't call me the BMW Championship at Cog Hill up in Lemont, Illinois. Shout out to the WGA and Evans Scholars everywhere. Billy Mayfair wins by 1 at -9 on the 72nd hole in a 5-way tie. He stuffs a 7-iron from 178, hold out a 5-footer to win, closing with a 67. Despite winning one of the oldest non-majors on tour, or maybe the oldest, Mayfair was not exempt into the Open. So he skips St. Andrews and he says, quote, after the round, good week for me to take off. More on Billy. Just keep him in mind as we keep going.
Say what you will about the problems of pro golf these days. I feel like we've squashed a lot of these qualification issues. I'm trying to remember the last time that we really had how is that guy not in X, Y, and Z event? I feel like we don't shout out a lot of the slow progress, but shout out to that one.
I thought you were going to say squashed a lot of the Billy Mayfairs because that's also happened too.
No, I was we had Glenn all day. We have Billy Playfair. We've got all the, there's a cast of characters popping up right now.
Moving right along here into mid-July, we've got the Senator I Like Beer Classic, the Anheuser-Busch Golf Classic in Kings Mill, Williamsburg, Virginia. Ted Treba, breakthrough win for the big hitting Pennsylvanian. His first of 2 career titles. It's a birdie fest week before the Open. Kind of the original, maybe John Deere here.
I would say legitimately the first quote, like I know the name Ted Treba, but the first quote no name winner since January 15th with John Morse winning the Hawaiian Open. That ends the run of like extremely recognizable names. And if you listen back to the 94 pod, very different year. 94 was just like all these olds winning and some really random stuff. Like 95 was like, dude, we got some dudes now.
So then we're right along to the Open. 124th Open Championship played at the Old Course, St. Andrews, July 20th, 23rd. Winner is John Daly, score of 282, 6 under. Won in the playoff, 4-hole aggregate playoff over Constantino Rocca. For more on this, reference NLU Deep Dive. We can dive deep into this one. This one kind of had everything. Home of golf, an Icarito, a reverse Icarito, a playoff, memorable pair of butt cheeks.
Streaker.
A lot going on. Good interview, just good stuff at this Open. I was thinking about this during research. Is there a bigger contrast in winter vibe and course vibe? You got the home of the RNA, and then you got daily recovering alcoholic, butt cheeks, all that stuff. It's an interesting contrast there.
It is. Gosh, I feel like I had something.
Patrick Reed winning the Masters.
I was saying like Zach Johnson laying up at the Masters, but Patrick Reed's probably a better example of that. But this one's up there, I think.
But it's funny. Bryson at Pinehurst a little, but also kind of not. If you've been to Pinehurst,
America's hero that week.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really interesting question. I also think that I'm thankful we did the 94 episode and you guys reheated it at the beginning of this one. But I'm 7 years old at this one. I know John Daly. I know he smashes it, but like I didn't remember the leave of absence and like all of that stuff, just to set that context of coming back and winning the fucking Open at the Old Course.
Well, and kind of validating the Cinderella overnight drive to Crooked Stick, like, more, that's almost more of like a, who the hell is this guy? And now it's like, oh, now he's got 2 majors. Like that's real deal stuff.
Always noted too, I think he's one of, and I have to double check this, but I remember looking this up at some point, like one of, if not the only American to like win a major in a Ryder Cup year and not make the Ryder Cup team, and he did it twice. I have to double check that, but there's something along. Maybe he's the only one that had done it twice, but yeah.
I mean, there's one more I can think of somewhat recently.
What was that?
Phil.
Oh yeah, I think that was ahead of that. I might have looked that up back in the day. I think is what it was. Yeah.
And just the Icarito. So Constantino Rocca. Sorry, refresh my memory. He
chunked a chip
chunks the chip, and then he makes a long putt
from the Valley of Sin.
Yeah, from the Valley of Sin. So a reverse Icarito going to the playoff. Michael Campbell, 26-year-old from New Zealand, was the 54-hole leader. Shot 76 on Sunday, tied for third with Mark Brooks. And then Norman, kind of Faldo favorite. Norman was T15, Faldo T39, never really in it. This was also Arnold Palmer's final Open Championship and Tiger Woods' first Open Championship. As the reigning U.S. Am champ, he was T68 +7 as the, I think he was the low Am though.
Again, go back to the 95 Majors episode 669 for a ton more details on 95. Michael Campbell got boned by a helicopter issue, right. And like it was almost late for the tee time, and ended up him contributing to him not winning the Open Championship. So episode 669. It's great.
All right, so that's the Open. We're going to spend more time on the opposite field of it, the Deposit Guarantee Golf Classic in Annandale Golf Course,
Golf
Madison,
Channel, as we remember,
Mississippi. Winner is Ed Doc Doherty, first and only tour win. Do you guys know anything about Ed? About Doc?
No, I can't. 0.0.
All right, good. The event spent 26 years kind of on the JV squad. It was nicknamed the Mississippi Masters before it became a fully sanctioned tour stop. As I said, opposite field event. Kirk Triplett was T4 this week, and he was quoted as saying, "This money spends the same as the stuff won at St. Andrews." Hell yeah, Kirk.
Great line.
Like that. Doherty was a Vietnam veteran and received a Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars. So he was drafted in the Army after high school and did 1 tour in Vietnam. And I found 2 great profiles on him on Doc. One from Trenham Golf History. Shout out to these guys. This is a great website, spelled Trenham. I come across them on the last deep dive. Just kind of like fun off the wall history stuff about golf figures. And then another site called #Veteran of the Day. So from Trenham, after graduating from St. James Catholic High School, Ed Doherty went to work at his local post office in Marcus Hook, Pennsylvania. One day while delivering the mail, he had to deliver his own U.S. Army draft notice. So Vet of the Day goes on to highlight he was a stud baseball player in high school, grew up in Chester, PA. Sounds like he was getting some sniffs and was going to go to spring training, I think, for the Pirates. He had a tryout was going to be in 1968. He gets drafted, and by February of 68, he's stationed on the Cambodian border at a place called Cum Duc. In May of 68, his unit was attacked, overrun in a battle that lasted 3 days. The battle was part of the famed Tet Offensive. Listen, this is a rabbit hole. If you want more, I implore you to go check out the Battle of Cum Duc on Wikipedia page. It's robust. Anyway, Vet of the Day wraps up, quote, in an escape attempt, Doherty found a fallen sergeant, carried him onto an aircraft that was about to take off. The sergeant had been injured without help. He would likely have died. As the aircraft was taking off, was hit by enemy fire, went into a spiral. Doherty miraculously got himself and the sergeant off, carried him across the runway under enemy fire. Upon reaching the medic office, the sergeant was treated. Doherty suffered minor injuries. So he's awarded the 2 Bronze Stars for valor and a Purple Heart. After the battle, Doherty and his squad are stationed at Landing Zone Ross, LZ Ross, brother. The squadron's been given 144 baseballs from the Boston Red Sox. So in between on-duty shifts, Doherty and his team would pitch into ammo pits. And then his love of baseball was reignited when Chicago Cubs player Ernie Banks came to visit LZ Ross.
Mr. Cub.
Mr. Cub. And one of the highlights for Doherty of his service was playing catch with Banks. So back to my hitters at Trenham. Doherty was sent back to the States for duty at Fort Lewis in Washington in 1969. So he did 1 tour. He volunteered for the baseball team, but he was told baseball required, it was too much time. And since he saw combat, I think they needed him for training for soldiers heading overseas. So the base also had a golf course. Ed picks up golf. He hadn't really played, so he kind of gets the bug. So he's discharged in 69. And a friend took him out to Edgemont Country Club back home in Pennsylvania. He gets a job at the course and just, starts grinding. So once winter rolls around, he lands a job on St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. Works for golf professional Mike Reynolds down there, who also kind of coaches him up. And so now he's working on his game 12 months a year. So that's 69. By 74, Doherty became a PGA Tour member in March of, he was kind of a PGA professional and then PGA touring member by March 75. And he began playing PGA Tour events, Monday qualifiers. He finished his T22nd at the 1975.
So we're talking 20 years before he's winning on the PGA Tour.
So and 5 years after he picked up the game, right? So both of those to me were like, whoa, okay. So he these T22 at the PGA Championship in 75. Most years he was able to earn enough money to stay exempt, but there were numerous interruptions due to elbow and shoulder surgeries. Okay, so again, he gets his first and only career PGA Tour win at the age of 47 in 1995, opposite the British Open. He did lose in a playoff at the Greater Milwaukee Open in 1990. Who is it? And hint, it's very relevant to some names we've been throwing out today.
Jim Gallagher Jr.
Boom. Jim Gallagher Jr. I see you balling, Jim.
What a pull.
Okay, so he never played in the Open, but because of this win, he did play in the Masters in 96, missed the cut. In 1998, Doherty began to play on the senior tour. He won $5.8 million in official earnings after he reached the age of 50. So he's kind of what's his name?
Like Scott Perrell or someone like that.
Yes. Yeah. And the guy from New Zealand, or what's his name?
Stephen Alker.
Steve Alker. Yeah. Like late bloomer. I love this. So he enjoyed a far greater degree of success on the Champions Tour senior circuit than regular career. Shares the record for best 54-hole driving accuracy in Champions Tour history. He hit 42 of 42 fairways at the Ace Group Classic in 2005. Who are the other two guys tied? Who else has hit 42 of 42 fairways?
Fred Funk.
Good guess, but no.
Calvin Pete.
Yes, Calvin Pete did it at the 1996 VFW Senior Championship, and
Mike
Hale
Reed.
Irwin did it at the 2010 Insure Classic at Rock Barn. Great sponsorship by Insure there. Their target market. I like that. Best season ever of driving accuracy on the Champions Tour is Joe Durant, 86% in 2014. Think about hitting 86% of your fairways. Golf would be so fun.
Or it wouldn't be fun. It's just, you're just in the middle of the fairway every time. I don't know. You need the electricity.
Landon is playing at a 3-point turn out of this digression. After his PGA career, he began a more intentional. He's always been into model trains his whole life.
When I thought it couldn't get any better.
I know. So then he opened
birds too.
He opened up after he stopped playing, or maybe during. He opens up a model train shop in Garnett Valley, Pennsylvania, specializing in Lionel and American Flyer trains. He often runs the largest set with his grandchildren, putting up 5 trains on the 8x16 track. He also has an extensive collection of guitars and pinball machines. And he's still alive. I was like, yo, maybe we could be a pod guest. Okay?
For sure.
Yeah.
So just my new best friend.
He had some issues with
Where does he live?
with cancer, Agent Orange, from his Vietnam stuff, but he's still alive. I think he lives in Port St. Lucie now in Florida. And I just kind of, to sum it all up, it feels like Doc went pro in retirement activities, like as a 24-year-old. Just like got really good at golf, trains, guitars, pinballs. I mean, this is my dude. So shout out to Doc.
That's one of the best dives, one of the best digressions I think we've ever had on this podcast. That's good stuff.
I will send a text before we're done recording to see if we can get in touch with this guy.
Sounds like a ledge. All right, moving on. IDR Classic at Pleasant Valley in Sutton, Massachusetts. Fred Funk's your winner, second career tour win. This is New England's longest running summer stop, the old New England Classic. Win number 1 of 2 for Funk in this back half of the season. So he'll go on to win later in the year. Not much, didn't have much here. I'm going to keep moving. I'm trying to keep us moving, like kind of one big feature each month. So let's get to August. Buick Open, not to be confused with the Buick Classic or the Buick Invitational, but the Buick Open is in Michigan, Grand Blanc at Warwick Hills Golf and Country Club. Woody Austin, first career tour win in a playoff. The coming out, he's the 1995 PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. So Austin starts to buck his head here up in Michigan.
Controversially wins it over David Duval. Because of this win. Duval was higher on the money list, had better tournaments, but did not have a win. Woody Austin
this
wins.
is like what would it be? Eric Cole, Ludwig kind of situation. Were they in the same year? Eric Cole and somebody, I can't remember who it was, but
Benny Booms.
Yeah.
So Woody Austin's on the scene. Quick pause kind of on the schedule here to discuss an Associated Press article from August 8th titled Revenge 8 Years Later, Stadler Hacks at Tree. Quote, Craig Stadler used a chainsaw instead of a golf club when he decided to take a swing at an old nemesis, a large Leland cypress tree, which contributed to Stadler's disqualification from the 1987 Leland Brothers, Solomon Brothers, whatever classic at Torrey Pines in San Diego. For more on this, check our Rules
From
Scandals podcast.
Yeah.
And our podcast.
Mouth himself.
And our podcast with Craig Stadler.
Yeah. And from the Walrus himself. He's quoted in this article as saying, "It's been 8 years. It's time to put it to rest." So he chopped that thing down. No eye protection, famously, but Stadler, he's handling his business out there, hacking this tree down in August of 1995.
This is the perfect time to tell you about our friends at East Sands Golf. East Sands helps bridge the gap between playing, famous golf courses like Royal Troon, Royal Dornoch, and discovering the hidden gems of Western Scotland or wherever you might be traveling. Haley and Nick, some friends of ours and fellow Nest members, they built East Sands specifically to help golf sickos put together the perfect trip across Great Britain and Ireland or any number of places. Whether you want something big and ambitious or small and straightforward, they can build the trip around exactly what you're looking for. We're also excited to announce we're working with East Sands on some exclusive trips for Nest members next year as well. So if you want to join a great group of friendlies on an awesome golf trip that's already been planned and organized for you, keep an eye out for those. And when it's time to start planning your next golf trip, go to eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Nest members, you save $500 per person on any trip they book, and repeat users of that offer are allowed. So if you're not a Nest member, consider joining our crew of sickos. Make sure Nick and Haley know that you're a Nest member when you book your trip to England, Scotland, or Ireland, wherever that might be. eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Go have some fun. These are great people, and they're going to help you have a great golf experience. eastsandsgolf.co/NLU. Back to the pod.
All right, next up, we've got August 10th, Riviera Country Club. It is the PGA Championship. Steve Elkington continues a good season. He wins at 17 under, first playoff hole over Monty. Talked about this one a little bit in our PGA Championship draft episode. Elks starts six shots back of 54-hole leader Ernie Els. And I'm just going to implore people, there's a great video on, I think it's Elk's Secret Golf YouTube channel of him just, talking through, like recounting the tourney and recounting his final round. It's like a 2 or 3 minute video, but it's awesome. And he's talking about how he's worried about hitting draws on the tee shot on 5 and the tee shot on 13. He's just such a good storyteller. Monty one putts the last 3 holes to tie Elk, making a really long one on 18. And then they go back for the playoff. Elk decides to walk back. He kind of controls the pace, and Monty's back there like, what have they done here? He's like, kind of flummoxes.
Ken Venturi's freaking out. I love this move here. I love this move right here. He's staying in rhythm. I love this right here.
Yeah, sounds like just an awesome course, awesome finish, awesome tournament all the way around. They're playing Riv twice, but I got to think Riv's a little more interesting this time of year from a condition standpoint.
Yeah, this year though the greens were like completely almost lost them. Like, and the cleat marks were horrible. It was fresh off a renovation, and they did not take very well, and they really struggled with the greens that year. There was a lot of bitching from the players, and Elk won at 17 under par or something like that.
Yeah, well, Elk makes a big boy birdie to win the playoff. Goes out and gets it from Monty. Can't believe Rich Beam's dogging my PGA Championship draft. This seems like it was a good selection.
You're
anyway,
handling it well. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. Sprint International, Castle Pines, out in Colorado. This is, of course, Stableford scoring. God, guys, I want to bring back a Stableford event. I think it's, if it had a better spot on the calendar or something. You guys don't agree with that?
I agree in theory. I feel I'm hesitant to wade into these waters after being so publicly wrong about the Zurich. I'm just like, we need to change these formats up. And then I'm like, oh, what'd you think of the Zurich? It's like, there's nothing I want to watch less than the Zurich right now. Like, are you kidding me? So I, in theory, I'm with you. And maybe if it's like one of the signature events or something, it's like, but I don't think they're going to do that. Yeah. Right. And so I would be with you if it was like, we're making the Truist Stableford. Or we're making the Truist a 3-club tournament.
That's what I'm getting at.
But they're not going to do that. So the Stableford's going to be like, here's all the worst players that you already don't want to watch. Play in a different format you don't actually care about when it's players you don't want to watch. If it was presented properly, I think it's an interesting format.
That I agree. But the problem with it is when Phil won it, he literally won it like on 16. Right. He couldn't go backwards enough on 17 and 18. And
as we've learned at the NIT, it causes problems. But winner is Lightspeed's dad, Lee Jansen, popping up again. He wins with a score of 23.
Pop into episode 7 of the Trap Draw. If you'd like a backstory on that one.
So
third win of the year for Lee Jansen.
Yes, exactly. The big sleaze, he's bucking and playing well back-to-back weeks. That's Ernie Els. This is Jansen's third win of 1995 with the Players and the Kemper Open. He and Norman lead the tour with 3 wins apiece. Norman's about to get another one. So as far as the season goes. So Jansen, 8 PGA Tour wins, 2 U.S. Opens, 1 Players, 16 professional wins, got up to 13th in the OWGR in his career. Best finish of the Masters, T12. I don't know. That's a really strong career. I don't think we talk a lot about Lee Jansen. I just was kind of, perusing that literature.
Wyndham Clark.
I've took the words out of my mouth.
Really good comp there.
Yeah.
Really good comp. All right. U.S. Amateur, August 22nd. Tiger Woods wins over George Buddy Mariucci Jr. 2 up in a 36-hole final. Wins his second consecutive U.S. Am title.
This is the one at Newport? Yeah. I hit the shot, Butch. Did it.
Buddy comes out swinging, kind of gets him, he's up early, and then Tiger comes back. So by all accounts, a great U.S. Am.
course, that is the year that Earl said, "How do you like this, Bobby Jones? A black man is the best golfer who ever lived. Bobby Jones can kiss my son's black ass."
I like that he's out there doing it. I like that he's putting his name on some quotes.
Hell yeah. So next up, this is where things get interesting. NEC World Series of Golf, Firestone Country Club up in Akron, Ohio.
Sorry, super quick. If you haven't read the Tiger Woods, Jeff Benedict, Armin Katayan book, there's great stuff about those USAMs in there. Yeah. That would be like if you're kind of like, oh, I started watching Tiger in 1997. I know everything about Tiger. Go back and read that book. It's very worthwhile.
And listen, I kind of was like, oh, I should dig into the USAM, but it's not the PGA Tour, so it's you know, just want to make sure we're keeping the trains running. Winner here is Greg Norman, won in the first playoff hole over Nick Price and Billy Mayfair. So this is a career milestone.
I cut you off. Where are we here?
We are at the NEC. Yeah, NEC World Series of Golf at Firestone. So Norman wins it at -2. So tough tournament, wins over Nick Price and Billy Mayfair. Norman, who almost withdrew on Thursday, more on this in a moment, chipped in for birdie from 60 feet on the first playoff hole to beat the number 2 player in the world, Price, and Billy Mayfair. He's quoted on shark.com. There's a good write-up of this win.
He owns shark.com?
Well, I assumed he did because it's just fluffing the shark.
What a URL.
Oh my God, it is his URL.
That's sick.
I did not know that.
Shark.com. Good for him. That's good stuff.
So he is out there doing it.
Yeah. He was visualizing his chip in at his 1990 chip in at Doral, which is just like kind of a sick quote of like, I was visualizing something that happened 5 years ago. Like it's very specific, and that caught my eye.
I was visualizing the other time I chipped in to win a PGA Tour event.
The $360,000 check made Norman the all-time leading money winner on the PGA Tour history. So 9.5, just around 9.5 million, passing Tom Kite. And again, this is Norman's third win of the year. Kind of got a slow start, was battling some injuries. So they're Memorial, Hartford, and then here.
A 10-year exemption comes with this one. Let's reheat that World Tour, baby. You guys can't kick me off this tour. Exactly. I got 10 years out here.
And again, we're about to get in. I mean, while all this is going on, he's trying to build a breakaway tour, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna like take over the all-time money list, best player in the world, number 1 player in the world." So, again, like I said, Shark.com, good source here, and this is from Shark.com. Norman said his biggest motivation came from his play Saturday, where he posted 4 straight bogeys without hitting a bad shot. I thought that was such a TC quote. I had to bring that one up. And he goes on to say, I said, this is just ridiculous. And from then on, I was very positive and determined. Which is just like, yeah, I made 4 bogeys. I just didn't have a bad shot.
I didn't have any bad shots.
That's unbelievable. So then back to that Thursday withdrawal situation. Norman accused playing partner of Mark McCumber of a rules infraction on Thursday. He charged that McCumber pulled a blade of grass away from his ball prior to attempting a 7-foot par putt on the 7th hole. He reported the incident to a PGA Tour official, but McCumber claimed he was swatting at an insect. Norman goes on to say, I felt very strongly about the issue, and it required a lot of convincing not to withdraw, Norman said. Everybody around me told me not to compromise myself and my chances to win, and it turned out to be the right thing to do. It's just that quote. It's just a big eye roll for me. It's like, just sounds like megalomania. Like I can't compromise me. Just the drama of it. And I don't know. So maybe who knows what happened there with McCumber, but he didn't get penalized.
Do you remember when we were doing the Players Championship trivia, and I was referencing those YouTube videos, like maybe AI generated YouTube videos of Mark McCumber. And the title was like, Mark McCumber names 5 players he absolutely hates. In all caps, in like a big fiery kind of like thumbnail. I think Greg Norman was number 1 on this list. So maybe this is part of it. Yeah. And then I think the other video is Mark McCumber's players he, quote, actually respects.
Actually, yeah. You know what? Billy Mayfair, I'm cool with him. All day, Glenn all day. Yeah, he's cool with me. So this happened. This tournament was last week of August, so August 27th. So September 1st. Let's tie a bow on the FTC investigation. So just think about this. Norman wins in dramatic fashion. So the timing of this is almost like a movie. And then the next week, the kind of other shoe drops, and he kind of gets buried by Fincham. So a couple sources here. There's an LA Times article that was a kind of a really good recap and overview of the whole situation that was written in late 95. That's by David Willman. Excellent piece. And then there's an article from 2019, a look back by David Sainer at Sports Illustrated. And the title of that is A Man and an Idea Ahead of Their Time. So we're going to reference both of these. But just to remind people, I don't want to, Soly covered a lot of this, but Fincham had two specific issues with the FTC. The first is the rule that forbids golfers to play in non-PGA Tour events without the commissioner's permission. The second gives similar veto power over appearances in televised golf programs. So Fincham had a couple options on how he could handle this as the new commissioner. He could quietly plead his case with the FTC directly, which would kind of be the more traditional way that the PGA Tour, like, let's do this behind closed doors. Or he could launch a more vigorous full frontal attack, AKA he could lobby, which is his experience. And again, I do want to emphasize this FTC investigation was confidential. It was going on behind the scenes for years. And so he probably knew about it going into the job, but like, it's just kind of been in the background. And then all of a sudden it's like at this time when this breakaway tour happens, just the timing is really interesting. So I'm a novice on how business gets done in Washington, lobbyists. So this was a really good case study.
I'm an expert. Ask me anything.
So first, here's Fincham's quote to Willman, kind of about set things up. Quote, "We decided to raise the profile a little bit." So he's going the lobby route, said Fincham, a lawyer who served in the Carter White House. "We just wanted the FTC commissioners to understand that this was a very important matter." And again, his argument, as quoted by Fincham, is while the tour's disputed policy controls players, the restraints are necessary to assure TV networks and sponsors are a reliable supply of quality golfers. He also pointed out that the PGA Tour's growth helps charitable organizations, which received $31.7 million from tournament-generated revenue in 1994. So laying out his case, and let's go. We're going the charity route, baby. Great. So what he did, step one, lays down the law suspension threat with players. Soly covered that. That's late 94, early 95. Step two, messages the PGA Tour's case with the public. And he does this very clearly. Fincham is pretty dialed on his comms here and leaning on some sympathetic arguments. Step three, contact the FTC with an all-star team of lobbyists and PR reps. One of those was a former White House press secretary. So in other words, let's get the gang back together. We're going to Washington, baby. Step four, go to work. So he leaned on the tournament. First, one thing he did, he leaned on tournament sponsors all over the country, the executives of Travelers, of, let's say modern day FedEx, AT&T. He pressed his case directly with specific congressmen. Willman reports that 26, that he had all these CEOs write letters to their, you don't like the rule, call your congressman, but they're all sending like, hey man, this is good for the local economy. Just go press these congressmen. And then he
congressmen in states that are hosting PGA
Yes.
Tour events and that there's local benefits to charities and things that it's directly affecting their constituents as well.
Yes. And then he and his team of lobbyists, they press specific congressmen who have control over House Ways and Means, like the specific committees where this stuff could get legislated or that have influence, and we'll get to over the FTC. So Willman reports that 26 members of Congress wrote letters to the FTC in support of the PGA Tour, including Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole of Kansas, Trent Lott of Mississippi, Dick Armey of Texas, and Vic Fazio, not sure if he's related to Tom, of Sacramento. Bob Dole took the extra step of making his point on the Senate floor. Quote, "I understand that the FTC is considering filing a complaint challenging the PGA Tour's rules." Dole said on February 15th, "I question whether the public interest would be served by eliminating the foundation for the success of the tour." So there's a new FTC commissioner or chairman coming in. Clinton's nomination is Robert Pitofsky. And he got an earful at his confirmation hearing from Senator Ernest Hollings of South Carolina. I was going to do a little Southern drawl on this one, but
I think you can.
I understand for 4 or 5 years now, you've got a bunch of lawyers wanted to mess up this sport, said Senator Ernest F. Hollings of South Carolina, adding, "The FTC is still fiddle-faddling around trying to find trouble, and that is what I will be interested in." So he ends up getting confirmed, blah, blah, blah. Another guy, Michael Oxley of Ohio, wrote multiple letters and chaired the subcommittee that oversaw FTC budgets. And Oxley was one of 20 members of Congress that was an annual, a mainstay at the Pro-Am at the Kemper Open. You know? Come on, man. What are we doing here? Don't mess this up. So the result, Yeah, this is from Willman again. Fincham's campaign took several months, but it worked really, and I'm going to add another really well. The FTC announced on September 1st.
Real quick, the controversy with Oxley was he also his spot, which I believe was a $3,200 entry fee spot into the Pro-Am, was waived. Like they were waiving fees for lawmakers in this process, which also a spotlight was shined on that part as well. But it was also like just really good wheeling and dealing for Fincham.
So the FTC announced on September 1st that the commissioners had voted 4-0 to kill the PGA Tour.
We're now hosting PGA like events at the president's golf course, just for what just for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I can't imagine $3,200. Can you imagine?
It was. Oxley said he did not consider the playing privilege a reportable gift and maintained the FTC intervention was based solely on his belief that the investigation was wrong. So basically, it's like they didn't bribe me with this. Like, that's so small, it's not a reportable gift, but they tried that.
So. Unanimous decision, the commissioners of the FTC kill the PGA Tour investigation, rejecting the staff antitrust lawyers' recommendation to take legal action.
You're off the case. You're off the stand down.
And that's not, I don't think that happens super often, at least back in this time. The announcement was, this is great. The announcement was made late Friday afternoon,
of course,
before Labor Day, and received little attention. So just... that's interesting. FTC investigations are kept confidential, but agency officials said the commissioners in an overwhelming number of cases have voted to follow the antitrust unit's recommendations. According to people familiar with the unfolding of the PGA Tour investigation, the congressional overtures injected a tension that could not be ignored, said an official at the FTC who spoke on the condition of anonymity. I can tell you that those letters were taken very seriously.
Just this, like Fincham, I would say expertly navigating the politics of America, and Monahan going on TV and just being like, 9/11 families, man. And like his inability to flex, like he said, the Senate and everything left him out to dry completely. We're fighting it all on our own, versus Fincham's expert navigation of this. Those two parallels were not lost on me.
Unfair, but Jimmy Dunn. If any of these guys had anything to do with 9/11, I'll kill him myself.
God, that's a lot. All right,
it's different times.
Well, so here's
a bit of a scalpel versus a sledgehammer here kind of situation.
This kind of ties it all together, though. The FTC. So you got to remember, Newt Gingrich is bucking his head around this time contract with America. We're trying to balance the budget, guys. So the FTC was facing new congressional leadership and a congressional leadership that was eager to downsize and eliminate government regulatory agencies. Legislation approved by the Senate subcommittee threatened to slash by the FTC's existing budget by 20%, so about $100 million. Now, soon after the PGA case died, FTC officials found a new ally as their proposed budget appropriation had moved behind closed doors at the Senate House Conference Committee. Hollings of South Carolina, who was getting up in Petofsky's grill at the hearing, pledged to carry the agency's fight for the full $98.9 million appropriation. So, listen, why don't you kill this case and I'll get you your $100 million.
There you go.
Kind of how that worked. So, the one question I had was whether or not Norman knew about this probe, and if that had, does he deserve credit for the timing? He kind of botched the rollout, but the timing was good. He said to Senior in that SI article in 2019, I knew about the FTC probe. He said, I knew about all the stuff going on behind the scenes, and I thought it was kind of interesting, to tell you the truth, but I didn't want to get injected into that probe. I had my own battle to fight. So, yeah, I guess not. But I find that 2019 interview interesting. People should go read it because Norman reflects in a big way, and I don't want to be conspiratorial, but it's almost like, hey, maybe I should go back to that idea. Because it's like, okay, about 2 years later, it's like, yeah, actually, you're right. That was a good idea. And it kind of seems like how Norman just like lives his life. Like, yeah, actually, why don't we just wreck some shit again? So
I hope he doesn't listen to this pod and be like, yeah, I might give it a third try, Yeah.
I know what I did wrong. There's no way. Yeah, no way I'd make those same mistakes again.
So yeah, we tie a bow on the FTC, but I mean, Fincham, by September 1st, it's like, it's dead. And then Soly, as you said, he starts to be like, Fincham seemed to have a really good ability to be like, I'm going to kill this, but there's also some decent ideas here. And so to make sure it doesn't come back while I'm running things, I'm going to start the WGC stuff and do like a very controlled vanilla version of this World Golf Tour. So,
which again, back to Norman's thing, like it was not a bad idea. You just have to involve the PGA Tour. Like you're going to lose if you go up against that machine, unless you have sovereign wealth money. Even then that runs out. Like that you had, like they're bullies, whatever. If you want to take that approach into it or that view into it, sure. But like there was just no world you were going to be able to do this without like approval of the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Or such overwhelming support that every player's on board.
Which I won't even consider being a reasonable option.
Exactly.
Like it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So moving on here, Greater Milwaukee Open up in Wisconsin. That's first week of September. Scott Hoke wins this one. It is not much going on here this year. I guess Hoke kind of comes back from Scott Choke based on some of what Soly went over. Tiger Woods would famously turn pro here a year later.
Big one next year.
So you'll learn next year.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll learn. Then we got the Bell Canadian Open at Glen Abbey in Oakville, former hometown for yours truly. Mark O'Meara gets it done. Mark O'Meara at this point is kind of becoming the nice guy who hadn't won a major yet. That'll come in a couple year, I guess 3 years later. But he adds a National Open to his resume, so TC's got to love that. And then you have the 95 Walker Cup. So the 35th Walker Cup is played at Royal Porthcawl in Wales, and the event is won by Great Britain and Ireland, 14-10. So the notables on this team: Nota Begay, obviously Tiger, Trip Keeney, Buddy Mariucci, Chris Riley, Chris Cox, John Harris, John Kerrville Jr., Alan Bratton, Tim Jackson are on this squad. So a few big names. And then GB and I, not a ton. Stephen Gallagher's on this team. Padraig Harrington's on this team. A lot of other names I'm not super familiar with. But this is from a gamer in The Independent by Tim Glover. Quote, Great Britain and Ireland completed a resounding victory over the United States in the 35th Walker Cup match yesterday. It was made all the sweeter for its rarity value. This was only the fourth time since the competition began in 1922 that GB and Ireland had beaten the Americans, and they struck a great blow for that unfashionable concept, amateur sports. So, a lot of labor disputes, all the stuff going on the pro tour. Everyone wants to celebrate the just tradition and glory of amateur golf.
Another knock on Tiger's team record there.
So GB and I, worth noting, they were massacred, according to Tim Glover, in Minnesota 2 years before. They went into the final session of singles, needing 3.5 points out of 8 to secure a victory and achieve a minimum fuss. Clive Brown, the captain, a Welshman, perhaps deserves as much credit as his team. Brown, the only captain never to have played in the Walker Cup, came up with a perfect batting order for singles. Downing Gray, the U.S. captain, kind of botched this one. He played his two aces, John Harris and Tiger Woods, 7 and 8 in the lineup. And although both won, it didn't matter. The game was already up.
Downing Gray. Need to get up on Downing Gray. Florida man, Downing Gray.
All right, moving on. BC Open, September 14th to 17th. Hal Amoni. Hal Sutton is your winner. A comeback marker for Sutton. So kind of the former, I never knew that he was branded the next Nicklaus, but kind of splashy as a young buck. But he was kind of in the wilderness, rebuilt his game and confidence through the early mid-90s, and then kind of has a resurgence in the late 98 to 2000. Enjoy Golf Club in Endicott, New York, the old IBM BC comic strip event, upstate New York, fan favorite, now home of the Dick's Sporting Goods Open on the Champions Tour. Guys, I didn't know the history of this. This kind of put this on the list of like places I kind of want to see. The tournament uniquely brought, this is from the PGA Tour's website, the tournament, the old BC Open, brought the greats of the comic strip game to the area thanks to the participation of Johnny Hart. Hart was a native of Endicott and the cartoonist behind BC, one of the most popular comic strips in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The PGA Tour event was named after the comic, and Hart provided logos for the event for free. Hart also invited the best cartoonists of the day to come for the tournament and play a pro-am. The likes of Garfield's creator Jim Davis, Shoe creator Jeff McNeely were among Hart's contemporaries who visited to swap stories, talk artwork, play golf, and I think they had like a little Comic-Con up there throughout the 90s.
Can I be honest? I had no earthly idea that was the case. I just always assumed BC was like an insurance company or something.
Yeah,
I
did too. I think IBM had a big campus up there. So anyway, an interesting stop on tour. No longer PGA Tour stop.
Bit of a Woodstock for the cartoonists up there.
That's right.
I don't know what the list of these events would be, but if you would say like name some 90s PGA Tour events, I'd be like, oh, Buick, blah, 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 the Bell South Classic and the BC Open. I don't know why. Like that's just one of the first ones that would Booz Allen would roll off the tongue. Disney. I don't know, but BC is on the list of just like, yeah, well, this should be part of a deep dive in some way.
That's a good thread to pull.
Ryder Cup. This is September 22nd to 24th at Oak Hill Country Club. So we're staying in New York. Europe wins it 14.5 to 13.5. On Team Europe, you've got Seve, Howard Clark, Nick Faldo, David Guilford, Mark James, Per Ulrich Johansson, Langer, Montgomery, Colin Montgomery, Constantino Roca, Sam Torrance, Philip Walton, and Ian Woosman. For the U.S. squad, you got Fred Couples, Ben Crenshaw, Brad Faxon.
3 or 4 in there that were tough. But
I know.
Woosnam.
Sorry. Woozy. Excuse me.
That's a Wahlberg one.
Yeah, listen, I'm not even going to worry about that shit. We're
gotta be honest. You mentioned to me you didn't do a ton of Ryder Cup stuff, but asked me just to do a little bit to top you up. I honestly, until this morning, had never heard of Howard Clark or Philip Walton, and that's on me. That's fine. But to find Ryder Cuppers within the last 31 years that I had never heard of was shocking to me.
Yeah.
So you got a pretty stout, based on this season, too, U.S. team. Fred Couples, Crenshaw, Brad Faxon, Jay Haas, Peter Jacobson, Tom Lehman, Davis Love III, Jeff Maggart, Phil Mickelson, Corey Pavin, Lauren Roberts, and Curtis Strange. Interesting to see Lee Jansen's not on this list. John Daly's not on this list.
Duval.
Billy Mayfair's not on this list.
Gallagher.
Duval. So that was very interesting to me.
So it's very controversial. I mean, Couples gets a captain's pick.
Boys Club.
He won a couple times in Europe, which is not counting on the points list, and like he's
and
still
Thailand.
Fred Couples. He won twice early in the European Tour. Curtis Strange gets the other captain's pick, and Curtis has missed 4 of the last 7 cuts coming into this, and is like, oh man, this is, if you thought JT in Rome was an issue, this was like, he's a little past his prime. It's name only, and you're bypassing Duval and a lot of other names here to go down the list here and take Curtis Strange. This better not backfire on you. It backfired big time. He went 0-3. Lost his singles match, and the U.S. lost by 1 point overall and lost a 9-7 lead in singles. The quotes afterwards from Strange, sorry if I'm jumping you on any of this, Neil, but it's frightening thought of what I'll face tomorrow. 11 guys fought their hearts out, and I didn't play well. I knew what would happen if I didn't perform. I deserve whatever I get in the press the next couple of days, but it won't compare to how I beat myself up.
And you mentioned Gallagher, captain. What was he, 0-6?
So Gallagher, he was 0-6 as a player in the Ryder Cup, meaning he'd been a part of 6 teams that never won the Ryder Cup. I believe was an assistant captain for 2 Ryder Cups. Both of those teams lost. He was the captain. The most 2 recent ones in 91 and 93. Europe lost both of those. He was 0-10 in Ryder Cups. He was convinced to captain it a 3rd time here in 95. The U.S. So Corey Pavin chips in on Saturday for the last point of the day to go up 9-7, and the U.S. celebrated a bit too much. And Gallagher turned to his wife and has a quote there and says, "They were celebrating tonight. Europe would celebrate tomorrow."
Turned to his wife and said, "I got a feeling."
That's right.
That was the original "I got a feeling" kind of thing here. But you never beat Bernard Gallagher 11 times in a row, and he makes it happen. Now the U.S. will be trying that approach with Jim Furyk this upcoming year, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Nick Faldo beats Curtis Strange, deciding point there, and then Philip Walton, last man to qualify for Europe, closed out Jay Haas on 18. Gallagher's quoted as saying, "I put my A team right in the middle, and it came right in the middle of it, and it came through." There were also 2 hole-in-ones for Europe that week. Howard Clark on Sunday on the 11th, and Constantino Roca on Saturday foursomes, which is a fun little wrinkle.
I'm trying to do the math. Like, how old would Curtis Strange be? I'm not trying to be
40.
An ageist here, but
40.
I'm tying a couple threads together. I mean, famously the next year, in Milwaukee. He's doing the Tiger. He looks old in that video. And this is a year before that.
40. There's only one U.S. player under the age of 30 on the team. It's, of course, Philip Alfred Mickelson. And
I was thinking of the Walker Cup. Yeah.
And he went 3-0. Phil went 3-0.
One other fun wrinkle I found, Lanny Watkins, captain, he was reportedly so stunned after the loss that he pulled out the wrong speech. He pulled out his victory speech at the closing ceremonies. So he kind of started down that track and, wrong piece of paper. Golf Digest calls it the history's most underrated Ryder Cup, a template for kind of what happened at Brookline in 99 and Medina in 2012.
Oh my God. That's bleak.
One thing I found during 4-ball play, Peter Jacobsen and Brad Faxon are playing together. I think it's on the 7th hole. Faxon hits the ball right. It goes into unbeknownst to Jacobsen, it goes into a creek. Faxon takes a drop, ends up holing out, makes a bogey. And Jacobsen is greenside, hits a chip well past the hole, goes up, scoops his ball, thinking that Faxon's already in for 4. He was not in for 5. He comes back to him and says, "Hey, yeah, nice 4." And Faxon's like, "I took a drop. I made 5." And they end up losing the hole and losing that match. And it's noted in there, ironically, Jacobsen had been bickering with Golf World writers about what he felt were too harsh criticisms of the U.S. team. Included in that criticism was suggestion that Jacobsen's concentration was suspect. So the U.S. has been criticized a bunch leading up into this Ryder Cup, and he just plays directly into the hands right there of poor communication or concentration, I should say.
Eesh.
So come out of that, back into the PGA Tour, kind of rounding into the Tour Championship. So we're in October. Buick Challenge, another Buick event. Callaway Gardens down in Pine Mountain, Georgia. Had a good overview of this kind of remote court, but stop on the PGA Tour on the 94 episode. But Fred Funk wins here. So second win, both in the back half of the year.
I'd say also there was an opposite field event to the Ryder Cup. It was the Quad City Classic, and D.A. Wybring won that one. So Quad City was opposite the Ryder Cup in 1995, was a shocker to me.
Man.
Then the Walt Disney World Oldsmobile Classic. We go right from Buick to Oldsmobile. Disney courses down in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. DJ's favorite place. Got married up on the water slide nearby. Winner, Brad Dr. Dirt Bryant. First and only tour win. Wins at 18 under, rain short and 54-hole tournament. Wins over Hal Sutton and Ted Treba. So, some guys stayed hot. In
Tournament 95. Of champions. Yeah.
First win for Bryant, age 40. Won in his 18th season and 475th career start. I think we did a profile on him from the Tour Championship in 94. So he gets it done the next year, but he was kind of in the running for a win. Loses a heartbreaker in 94. His younger brother, Bart Bryant, also a Tour pro, later won the
Memorial.
In 05. 05.
Rest in peace.
So Dr. Dirt gets it done. DJ, as we said earlier, those tapes of Bart and Brad Bryant, I love trading for those.
That's right.
It was unimaginable that a guy by the name of Bart Bryant could win the Memorial. It was like hitters only that ever won the Memorial, like in the Tiger era too. And he just won it out of nowhere, and everybody in Dublin was completely stunned.
It's the original William McGirt.
Exactly.
Then we go to Las Vegas Invitational, TPC Summerlin. Jim Furyk, first career PGA Tour win.
Let's go.
Wins by 1 over Billy Mayfair, who continues to stay hot.
Great photos from that one.
Awesome photos. I actually had one dialed up, but it's not up in the studio right now. But the showgirls with a young Furyk, good stuff. Go seek that out. Furyk shared the third round lead after 65, and then fourth round 67 tied him with Mayfair before he closed it out. It's a 5-round format, so this is a 90-hole event, which I thought was interesting.
About that. Yeah.
And then Furyk goes on to win in Vegas again in 98 and 99. So a happy place for Jim Furyk.
Yeah. Desert guy, Arizona State.
Yeah. And then
Arizona,
La Cantera Texas Open in San Antonio at La Cantera Golf Course. Duffy Waldorf gets his first career win. Colorful tie-dye, weird shirts. Duffy.
Great name.
Yeah, he'll be kind of a staple on tour. for the next 10, 15 years. Okay, interesting stuff here. Tour Championship. It is at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1995, late October. Again, just want to call out, we can move the Tour Championship around. We used to. So let's just get that out of the way. The winner is Billy Mayfair, who wins by 3 over Corey Pavin and Steve Elkington. Guys, absolutely brutal tournament. It's gusting up to 40 miles an hour, hard setup. Only 14 of 120 rounds all week broke par. Mayfair wins at even par. Yeah. He's the only player to reach even par over 4 rounds, wins by 3. An ABC broadcast balloon literally blew into the trees. The field finished a combined 322 over par, 157 shots higher than the top 30 shot at the U.S. Open that year. So proper test index is off the charts here. Mayfair shoots 73 in the final round, and as I said, even par over 4 rounds. He was one of only 2 golfers who collected more than 1 subpar round on the week. So guys are just getting absolutely vaporized at Southern Hills. It remains the highest winning score in Tour Championship history. A couple notable things, or one other notable thing. PGA champion Steve Elkington missed a 3-foot par putt on 18. That cost him $58,500, dropping him into a tie for second with Corey Pavin. So 2 major winners, both finished second. I just found that interesting because of my guy Stu Sink, unfinished business. Southern Hills, missing short putts on 18, just time is a flat circle. The win, which is Mayfair's second of the year, was worth $540,000. It vaulted him into second on the money list at $1.54 million for the year, about $111K behind Greg Norman. So this took me on a little deep dive on Billy Mayfair. So who won the Pub Links in 1986 and the US Am in 1987. So kind of balled out, Arizona State graduate, and he won the Haskins Award in 1987 as well. He has a very interesting PGA Tour record. What do you guys know what that is? A record in quotes.
Lowest 9-hole score?
Maybe, but that's not what I'm going at.
Because he shot. Oh, he one putted every green in 9 holes, I think.
Maybe, but that's not what I'm going for. He's the only guy to beat Tiger Woods in a playoff on the PGA Tour.
Oh, sure.
In history.
Yeah.
Out of 12, Tiger's 11-1, and he beat Tiger at the 1998 Nissan Open in a playoff.
Famously, never won at LA.
Yeah. And I actually didn't realize he got that close at LA. But I thought that was just a wild stat. So
it's also just weird. Billy Mayfair, this is a me thing. Billy Mayfair is just impossible to picture as a younger person.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of these guys. I'm like, okay, I see how Corey Pavin, I see how you used to ball out. Billy Mayfair, I'm like, you just look like you were 50, like the whole.
Well, he's kind of a brand name on the PGA Tour forever, but I don't know that much about him. And the highest he ever was ranked was 25th in the OWGR, which I found surprising. He won the Tour Championship, like
whiffs of Ryan Moore. I think a lot of people like to say, similar kind of.
Amateur career.
Yeah, just like an absolute stud college player, won everything in amateur golf, and then just had a super nice career,
So a couple other facts. He got testicular cancer in 2006. He had a successful surgery in August of that year and returned to the PGA Tour two weeks later. Guy's a grinder. Ends up finishing as the medalist of the 2010 PGA Tour Q School. So loses his card, goes back to Q School, wins his card back, gets back on the PGA Tour at age 44, finishes 109th on the money list in 2010, keeps conditional status in 2011. Okay, so then things get interesting. I didn't know any of this. 2019, he was diagnosed with autism. So stick with me here. He said, and then I ended up watching like a 30-minute podcast with him on like some autism website. So he's diagnosed. He says the diagnosis changed his life. On this 2019 podcast, he said his wife, this is his second wife. Both his wives were named Tammy, spelled differently. First wife, I think with a Y, second one with an I.
Ron Swanson situation.
So he said his wife demanded that he get tested. And then the host, they weren't great hosts, but they were like, "Why'd you get tested?" And he goes on to say
that's unnecessary shot.
Sorry, it was just kind of the pop was all over the place. You're right. That's a drive-by. Sorry about that. He goes on to say that a couple months before
fucking podcast host over here.
I know. Now, that's bad stuff. All right. So he goes on to say that a couple months before his diagnosis, he had a situation with the PGA Tour rules officials. There was a ruling that he felt they, quote, he got bullied by them. He didn't understand the ruling or the disqualification. It all happened a lot quicker than his brain could comprehend it. 2 or 3 weeks later, he got tested and diagnosed, and a diagnosis brought a lot of clarity to why he struggled in school, why I've been labeled, as he said, weird or cocky or standoffish. He's like, I'm not Rain Man, but I'm a highly functioning autist. So I was like, okay. So then along with his family, Mayfair started a nonprofit foundation, providing support for both amateur and professional athletes and their families who struggle with spectrum-related disorder. I'm like, all right, this is great. So then I'm like, well, what was the DQ situation? I got to go look at this. So it happened in November of 2019. Michael Bamberger wrote a really long article about this that I would encourage everyone.
I remember this being a big deal. Yeah.
And the headline is The Anatomy of a DQ. Billy Mayfair broke 2 rules in 7 holes and things got really weird. And it's just Bamberger at his finest. He just breaks this thing down over, it's like 5,000 words. It's awesome. It's a golf.com article from 2019. So it's on the Champions Tour, second to last Champions Tour event at Sherwood Country Club. Finals in Phoenix, where Mayfair wins. So Billy, he was a staple on the Champions Tour during this time. He's tied for the lead on Saturday, and he's playing with the mechanic, Miguel Angel Jimenez. Mayfair hits a drive in the left rough. They can't find it for a while. Finally, they find it. Mayfair is certain that they search for less than 3 minutes. He tries to get embedded ball relief, doesn't get it, ends up making 7, moves on. Hits one left. Then later in the round, he hits one left of the green on 17. While addressing the ball, it moves in the rough about 6 inches, like significantly. He calls in the rules guy, says the ball moved, but he didn't put his club down or cause it to move. Rules guy's like, he wasn't there. He's like, all right, well, if you didn't cause it to move, you're all good. But there's a Golf Channel camera directly behind him. Lanny Watkins is on the call. He's apoplectic. He's like, that's not what happened. So before he signs, after the round, they call him into the TV compound. He admits that he did cause the ball to move, so it's a 2-stroke penalty instead of a 1-stroke penalty, which would have been 1 stroke, move the ball back to the original position. Signs for a 74 with 2-stroke penalty. By the time he shows up for Sunday's round, a walking scorer in the group had called in to say that Mayfair took well over 3 minutes back on the 11th hole, and to find his ball on 11. PGA Tour officials review the tape overnight, and they timed the search at 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So, and the rules, keep in mind, Soly, 2019
Rules
used to be 5 minutes.
just changed.
Now it's 3. Now, Billy doesn't do himself any favors because Mayfair arrives about 2 hours later on the range. This is all from Bamberger to warm up for the third round. Rules guy, Clar, goes up and says, hey, Billy, did you know the rule's 3 minutes? Like, yeah, of course I know that rule. And then it's like, you took just under 5, and he's like, it's now 3. So that he's like, and then he says, well, I have 5 minutes to search. So he starts to get his, it seems like it starts to get a little messy with the rules guy. And the guy's like, well, the rule changes here. You only have 3 minutes. And he says, I didn't realize that. Then the rules official explained to him that then you played the wrong ball because your ball technically is deemed lost after 3 minutes. So the minute you finish the 11th hole, the minute you teed off on the 12th hole, you are now you played the wrong ball and you can't fix it. You were the last 6 holes don't even count. So I think they even wiped away his score from Saturday because he was supposed to go back and play from the tee because the 3 minutes were up. So he gets DQ'd for this, and this is what leads to the autism diagnosis, which I just like, whoa. Now, Bamberger's article is a little less sympathetic. So he interviews Mayfair for this. Mayfair has a lawyer on the phone with Bamberger. It's kind of a,
very testy.
And to be honest, talking to Champions Tour, it seems like it's not the first time that Billy's had this situation. I don't think he'd ever been really dinged for rules infraction, but it feels like there was chatter around this. So I didn't know anything about that. Another little digression that I wanted to hit on.
It's a good one. Good dive.
Not only that, if you remember, leading to this diagnosis for Billy Mayfair ultimately led to friend of the program Joel Beal. He wrote about this for Golf Digest after this diagnosis came out for Mayfair, it led to Joel being diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. as a result of this incident. He wrote about that in great detail for Golf Digest. It was an excellent eye-opening article of that, but he had not known that to that point in his life until this incident.
So yeah, so Billy Mayfair is your tour champion in 1995. Fall series, November, December. These are tour sanctioned events, but unofficial, so they carry no official money or wins. They're not really a real part of this.
Still spends the same. Though.
Yeah, that money spends the same though. So you got a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff going on. Sarah's in World Open at Chateau Elan, side of the Grape Lady. I think she's actually hurt. Oh no. So Frank Novelo wins this one. So this was a short-lived Gene Saracen branded international event at Chateau Elan. Sure. Lincoln Mercury Kapalua Classic out in Maui. Jim Furyk wins here. So second title of the fall. Obviously unofficial, but hot rookie kind of rookie or second sophomore season for Jim Furyk. And you got the MasterCard PGA Grand Slam of golf on Kauai. Ben Crenshaw wins this. So it's a 36-hole exhibition among the year's 4 major champions. You got Crenshaw, Pavin, Daly, and Elkington. Crenshaw wins this one. I think is a feel-good story. Maybe
a good candidate for a little medium dive at some point. The Grand Slam of golf. Yeah. And then particularly like when it got off the rails. And
like Sean O'Hare played in one or something like that.
Didn't Wolfie have something like Mike Ditka played in one of them because one of the guys dropped out and he was there on vacation or something? It's some good stuff.
Then you've got the World Cup of golf, and this is at Mission Hills Golf Club in Shenzhen, China.
Should be a cool event.
What about China? November 9th to 12th.
This is the 2-man, right?
Yep. Yeah. Fred Couples and Davis Love III win this one at 33 under par by 14 over Australians, Ogle and Allenby. First international golf tournament ever held on mainland China, a Newton Nicholas design, a real, for the love of golf, we're going to globalize. And Couples and Love won it a record 4 straight times as a pairing. So these guys used to beat up this tournament. And then you got the Shark Shootout at Sherwood Country Club in California. Mark Calcavecchia and Steve Elkington win this team event hosted by Greg Norman. That kind of takes us all the way back around to where we started, Soly, with the World Tour stuff. Skins game at Bighorn, battle at Bighorn. Fred Couples wins this one. And then the J.C. Penney Classic is the Grant Thornton, basically, at Innisbrook. Davis Love and Beth Daniels take this one.
What a weird year for Fred Couples is kind of my takeaway at the end of this 2.5 hours. It's like, so he wins a bunch, but just nothing that really matters. Right. I mean, he wins over. Right. Wins overseas, wins the World Cup, that's just very funny.
His Wikipedia page is wild of 15 career PGA Tour wins, 2 players and a major in there. Gets good there. Has the 3 DP World European Tour wins, the 2 this year, Dubai and Johnny Walker. 33 other wins. 33. We have the JC Penney Mixed Team Classic, the Northwest Open again, a Johnny Walker World Golf Championship, the World Cup, Titleist Skins Game, Lincoln Mercury Kapalua Invitational, another World Cup of golf, another Kapalua Invitational. They're all in November. He has like 8 straight wins in November between 93 and 95.
And this is relevant. I feel like Couples has got to be saying to Norman, like, dude, just go play. You can just get the sign off, man. Like, why we got to blow it all up?
Totally.
His nickname, Mr. Skins, is also on his Wikipedia page, which is just fantastic. Mr.
Skin. So I try to come up with like, what are my big takeaways? I think I got 2 of them. I think another year of the Shark. He doesn't win a major, but Norman dominates.
Can I close the book on one thing? The Anderson Consulting World Championship of Golf was finalized on December 31st. Barry Lane ended up winning that one, which I don't think he was in the original field that I listed off there, so I don't know. We might need to dive into what happened there.
Not to be confused with Kenny Perry Lane, which we covered earlier.
This event only happened 3 years, 95, 97, and 98.
Kenny Barry Lane.
Barry Lane had to replace somebody in the field. I don't know who that was.
All right. So I got the year of the Shark. It kind of is just the Shark's balling until next year. And then he's just kind of the Shark gets got 4 months later at 96 Masters. So Greg Norman's wins 3 times, doesn't win a major, but tops the money list, tops the career money list. He's the PGA Tour and PGA of America Player of the Year. Won the Byron Nelson Award for the lowest scoring average at 69.06. Finishes the year takes back world number 1 title from Nick Price. He lost the U.S. Open by 2 to Corey Pavin at Shinnecock. So, yeah, balls out. And then I think the other one that's interesting, you have a bunch of guys playing really well, but you've got the 4 major winners, Crenshaw, Pavin, Daly, Elkington. Other than Elk, just those are the only tournaments they won. It's not like Crenshaw went on some big run after this. Pavin played well, had some good finishes, but didn't win again. Elk won twice, and then Pavin and Elkington, these were their only majors of their career. So I just thought that was kind of interesting where you had guys that were really hot, Jim Gallagher Jr., Billy Mayfair, but the major winners were kind of one-offs.
Yeah.
Potentially similar to this year.
Yeah. You know? Money list, Norman, Mayfair, Jansen 3rd, Pavin 4th, Elkington 5th, Davis Love 6th, Jacobson 7th, Gallagher 8th, VJ 9th, Marco Mira 10th. Average driving distance, as mentioned, 262.7 yards. It is 305.3 here in the year of our Lord 2026. That is up 43 yards in 31 years. 155 of the current 159 players on the PGA Tour have a longer driving average than John Daly did at 289. That's Brian Campbell, Andrew Putnam, Davis Chatfield, and Brant Snedeker are the only ones not hitting it farther than Daly did in 1995.
That's
what am I on blast, Soly?
Stark stat.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
That's all I got. DJ, what do you think?
I think that's great. That was a whirlwind, guys. Learned a lot. You know, we had lobbyists, we had course building, we had Vietnam dive. I wasn't expecting. It's good stuff. Really good stuff. God, excited for the next one.
I got to figure out what the hell happened in this Anderson Consulting World Championship of Golf and how he got.
Yeah, I got a little Barry Lane Wikipedia that I'm kind of trying to dive into as well.
Yeah, he lost in a playoff that year at the Smurfit European Open, and he didn't qualify for the Ryder Cup. He passed away in 2022. Barry Lane did. Okay. Yeah. I'll get back to you guys on that one. But, hey, thank you for being with us for another dive into another PGA Tour season. Will you guys join me for 1996 soon?
Sign me up.
We must.
We must. We got a lot of years to go. A lot of work to do. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time. Cheers.